About a month ago in the ALGS, when we were in Los Angeles, May 5th, ready to crown a winner of our Split 1 playoffs. North America expected to defend their title, but it was APAC North and Reject Winity who would steal it from their grasp. Now, the two teams that we expected to maybe contend and challenge for it have decided to go their separate ways and join forces together. It's been the biggest story in the ALGS, maybe ever, in terms of roster mania, and the results will be displayed in the next few hours. Alongside that, everyone is back with a vengeance, with Apex Legends and the Global Series feeling more open and out there than ever for anyone to seize the trophy. The opportunity starts now as Split 2, Day 1 begins. My name is Rain Day. I'll be your host. I'm so glad all of you are here joining me as well. We have a long day of Apex and a lot of fun, but I will be joined by two people who are even more fun than that alongside all of the cast. And of course, none other than Vicky Kitty will be starting us off. Vicky, how are you doing? It's North America. It's time.
What is the script going to say this time, Rain Day? I mean, expect the unexpected. There's so much that's going to play out for this first day that's going to determine a lot for these squads, especially with the craziest roster mania we've ever seen in the ALGS.
Well, when you look at EMEA, things changed and it made a significant difference. North America, it could be even more explosive. And Jamerson, you'll be alongside us all day to help cast the action. What are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, thank you so much, Rain Day. There's a lot to look out for, but I think it is the huge paradigm shift in North America, the super team forming of Team Falcons. It's absolutely absurd to think that Hal leaves TSM. He's been a foundation, the base of Apex Legends for so long, but now he's joining forces with Jen Burden and Zero. And honestly, I want to see how they evolve. They've been changing things up over the last couple of days, and yesterday tried out some new compositions, so I want to see how that works out for them today.
Well, to take you behind the scenes and then to take you behind this moment into what has led up to it, it felt different. TSM at LAN, watching them, seeing them. I was one of the few people who still put my vote out there because they've always somehow found a way to pull it back out. But what was discovered was that changes were already in flux, that the signing and the re-signing to TSM was already not guaranteed, and that maybe, just maybe, in the back of Hal's mind, he knew this mega shift was going to happen. However, still, reading the words on Twitter, seeing the tears flow on stream, it was hard for us to realize that this was actually happening. But it is true. It is here. Falcons Esports take over the contracts of Zero, Jen Burton, and Imperial Hal, introducing the ultimate trio, the unstoppable Apex Legends super team. Hashtag Falcons are here. And if you know anything about a Falcon, well, they're birds of prey. Let's just put it at that. And I think we know who they think the prey are in this lobby. But it wasn't easy. Dark Zero had to let go of two people who had just shattered the record for group points at LAN, 248. It was an incredible performance alongside Sykes. And while thanking Zero and Jen Burton for being a huge part of their team and an impact to Dark Zero forever, knowing there will never be enough words to describe how much they have meant, whether it's a championship or whether it's a split playoffs, this team was the only thing that these two organizations could understand those players leaving them for. Even Sykes himself, who now has found himself on LG, said, if there was one player you're going to replace me with, I guess Imperial Hal makes sense. But Vicky, I mean, it's taken a lot of the scene to just kind of take some time to look at this, but there's still been more changes, even with this major change kind of stealing the headlines.
It's crazy. Aside from Dark Zero obviously now being Team Falcons, we get to welcome back another familiar face. It's going to be NRG picking up the former team of Exit, and of course Sentinels making the swap over to Yup.
Yeah, and over on Group B, not much to say there. Just Optic Gaming now free agents playing under the moniker of, I'm the first one that has to say this, Skid Mark. But I believe it's up to their initials, right? It's kind of
SKD Mark, naming, right? Yeah.
Yeah, SKD Mark. There we go. Thank you for the save, right? But as we swap on over to Group C, we had a couple of changes here as well. Drop In Gaming, now Vanity. And of course, we know that Guyman Gaming, Gladiators, ended up picking up a roster for EMEA, leaving Flat now as a free agent team to be picked up hopefully in the future.
Well, as it was so eloquently put in our earlier videos that Tiff was a part of and all the ALGS broadcasts, a pre-production crew helped put together, we are in 3 sets of round robins where you play 3 times each, and then we ultimately have a 10th day that is a finals. In Group A, you've got some high competition. So whenever you face them off in either of those round robin circles, you got to be worried about the Falcons. You got to be worried about the new SSG, Oxygen Esports as well, adding a little bit of experience with the new roster, taking SSG's one of most talented players and bringing them into the fold. NRG is back and in business, so you get to see the Sweet and Hal back to back again, and now Zero and Jin Burton in the mix alongside Elevate Gaming. There's so much in Group A. This to me looks like if there was a group of death, maybe the one most people will be looking at, Vicky. But Group B and Group C, but speaking for you for Group B, they've got a lot of power too.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this right here, we see some changes also coming in, obviously, with LG making some adjustments themselves out here, as well as Complexity, TSM. That's going to be, obviously, a team that everyone's going to have their eyes on, with them picking up Zap to see if he's got some big shoes to fill after Hal leaves. I mean, that puts a lot of pressure, but this group is also definitely, I would say, one of the groups of death, because not Moist, obviously, being there as well, as well as SKD. It's going to be crazy, Jamerson.
Yeah, and it's hard not to be stacked when it comes to the groups here for NA. We just have drawn so much talent to the region, bringing a lot of teams from APAC South, APAC North, a lot of these players. But here we have some old tried true standard Cloud9, a DSG, ever the crowd favorite here. And we get to see, of course, their high flying skill when it comes to LAN and how much energy that the likes of Timmy bring along with it. But not to be outdone, we still have squads like Furia Madness leading the charge there for them, along with Vaxlon. They've been a duo for quite some time as well. Liquid Alien, where we saw some good things out of them when we were at the LAN playoffs. But we'll see if maybe this season with the changes, things can work out in their favor. Ultimately, to round things out, Stallions, I think, is one of the dark horses I really want to look out for, and I did want to work in that play on that plan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is really just, you know, it's got me confused as well. I'm thinking Sweet and NRG. It's really the old X set that's now NRG. LG will be in Group B. They will go back to back today, but it just goes to show, if you haven't caught up with it, if you haven't kept track, that's okay. We made graphs just to keep track of it, all right? So don't blame yourself. It was hard. But let's look at the character, the player swaps that have happened in a more intricate way as we dissect the true roster changes that have occurred. Team Falcons, we know that one. Sykes stepped down for Imperial How to join what they have touted themselves as a super team. It's big words, and that means they've really only got one thing to do. Otherwise, it's not looking too good, which is win, which they have the ability, certainly, to enact. I mentioned that SSG was getting a little bit of a change. Koifel jumps in for Frex, who will take his talents elsewhere. But Phony, Zainu, and Koifel, it's one of the youngest teams in Apex Legends, but it's one of the most talented. That is for sure. Elevate Gaming, Chubi, Zap, and Zach had a great run, but it just didn't work out with roster mania. It almost left Zach without a team, and now Luxford and Slayer have found their way. LG obviously taking Sykes, but then Slayer coming back in for Elevate Gaming to find his spot here in a team that can contend, Vicky.
Yeah, and that's not all. Obviously, when we talk about roster mania, we truly mean it to the word as it is. And Oxygen, NRG, and Yup also had their own individual changes, where Oxygen had dropped Reeds and their coach Psycho, where Vaden Aiden had picked up Frex from Space Station. NRG, they pick up former X-Set squad, minus Koifel, with Noctin Fun picking up Reptar from Wildcard. And then, of course, Yup, having Dupe from DNO, Zanile from Sentinels, and Alcivian from Native to make this super squad together.
Yeah, a lot of changes there in Group A, but Group B as well saw them. We were talking about E8s, of course. Where were those players going to land? Well, Zap, of course, finds himself within the prestigious company of TSM now, as Imperial Howl, of course, going over to Falcons. For LG, they end up losing out on Slayer, but they pick up another demon in Sykes. For SKD, Mark, of course, you had Skittlecakes dropping, and that's the next player from E8 that gets picked up. That will be Shubi. As we go on over to Eternal EC, McLoving ends up going down, and it's going to be Dan Mantic joining that squad. And to round it all out, it's going to be Akuze. But Arcology will be starting today for 8 game. That's Bursty, Wi-Fi, and Arcology.
Well, roster mania is taking place all across. We're going to focus on Group A and B, though, right now, because these are the two groups that are going head-to-head in the first round robin to open up Split 2, day 1. Big note for me, I love the idea of TSM coming back at it. They've got so much to fight for. Reps, Verls, the new Zap. Can Falcons live up to what we expect? Can SSG, such a young and talented squad led by Phony, can he become that superstar we've been waiting for. But a team here that you'll also look at in Group A is Tripods. They've had such an interesting journey from not qualifying to LAN. It would be sitting in the stands in LA that would actually be the difference for Deeds to kick off some motivation that would lead to a very big realization and ultimately a very big result. Let's go ahead and see what happened.
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Oh my God!
And Tripods win! Tripods win! Oh my God, do they make it?
Oh my God. I think they actually qual.
The teams that qualify! Oh my God!
I don't want to go back to another land until I'm playing in it. I know I could be up there, you know?
Playing in Pro League, Esports World Cup qualified, which has a $60 million overall prize pool for all of the games competing. Not just Apex, that would be crazy, but it's an exciting time in another land that he'll be participating in. Go check out the full video on Deed's YouTube channel. It's some exciting stuff, Vicky, but stories like that, they are amongst us today in many different ways and many different teams that are worthy of highlighting.
Yeah, that video gave me goosebumps, but let's talk about a team that also is on my radar because we got to talk about Moist, all right? We saw them as not Moist over by LAN, and I believe they finished 4th overall, but we did see them struggle just a little bit when it came to the stress of preparing for LAN due to the visa issues that they had. We know what this team is capable of. They've been sticking together, and not only that, they've had that synergy where they are able to be the threats in the lobby that a lot of these other squads really have to look out for. Not only do they usually come out on top for a lot of their team fight wins, but I mean, Waltzy is just built differently. I say that because he goes absolutely crazy. But again, it does go hand in hand with the lack of preparation that they probably were able to have coming into this land. So this is the redemption arc that we could expect to see here for Moist.
Moist, so much skill, so much talent. We'll see if they can, as a APAC South former representative, still do it in North America like we've seen Dark Zero do. Now, really the only APAC South now North American team, with Falcons taking Dark Zero's spot here in NA. Should be exciting stuff as well. And for those who want to know what's happening today, well, of course, besides Roster Mania, we have changed the ALGS in a significant way. The POI draft is here, and the players have already selected their landing spots and will be ready to land in their individual dropships in just a few moments without contesting. You want to know how it works? Well, here's a video to keep you informed.
Prior to the Pro League regular season, each team receives a random assortment of draft picks for match days 1 through 9. The assortment is perfectly equal, meaning if a team receives the first draft pick, they'll also receive the 40th draft pick on that match day. This draft style is called a snake draft, and the order of draft picks changes with each match day, which means that teams may not always get their preferred POI. On draft day, each team will make 2 draft picks, 1 Storm Point drop spot and 1 World's Edge drop spot. Strategizing is crucial, as drop spots on both maps are up for grabs at the same time. There will always be more drop spots than teams, which means that even if you're the last pick, you'll have multiple options to choose from. Once a POI is chosen, it's off limits to all other teams for that match series. On match day, each team is dropped from an individual dropship above their drop spot. It is a whole new ALGS.
And speaking of the former TSM who faced a lot of contesting at LAN, this would be a completely different situation in Split 2 with this system. Like E8, like 07, a lot of big names had that problem. We'll see if that continues. It may not in this new version of the ALGS. A lot to get excited about and a lot to happen. And if you want to, maybe pay attention to one of those drop spots, maybe you feel your team didn't get the best one, or maybe they did get the best one and you want to see how it works out, well, we've got a way for you to do that. It's, of course, Faceit Watch. That's right. You can go to faceit.com/watch and check out each and every one of your favorite pros' perspectives. You can watch them rotate, watch how their drop works out. Did they do good in the POI draft? Is this going to be an instant change for next week? You'll find out and see how they're reacting and how the results play out with your favorite streamers taking the main stage, whether you want to hear their volume, their comms, or switch back to play Apex when you're done for the broader picture. You can watch the LGS your way. Well, Roster Mania addressed the POI draft, informed, and you as players, and of course, a chat ready to watch and get into ALGS day number 1 here in Split 2. I'm so excited for it, and so let's not delay. Vicky, Jamerson, let's get it on.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Jamerson, again, so glad to welcome you back out here on the broadcast, but it's even better to get into the craziest action that we've probably ever seen in Pro League history here with NA. Starting off the day, obviously, with our first 3 games on World's Edge before we transition onto Storm Point.
And honestly, it's a scary task because, like you said, there's momentous changes in terms of the NA meta, right? With the huge super team pickup of Team Falcons right now. And I feel like it's a privilege to be able to cast these first initial games now. Taking a look at the draft, this is very interesting to note when it came to the Snake draft, that when it comes to the first 20 picks, it was still pretty split between World's Edge and Storm Point, what the teams kind of favored. But in the top 10 picks for North America, this was weighted a bit more in the favor of prioritizing World's Edge. And so that's a little bit of a shift that we've seen from EMEA this morning.
That's interesting too, because that also highlights the teams that feel way more comfortable on a World's Edge versus Storm Point. So that's going to play a hand. And so which of these teams feel like they could play into those strengths, or what adjustments they have to make going into Storm Point? And of course, like you guys have seen before, the second round of drafts are in that reverse order of the first. So it is always balanced. That way both of these teams, or rather all these teams, could have both options to decide which map they want to land on for what POI.
Yeah, and then in the second half of the draft here, you can see that Mirage Etoile is going to get picked up by SKD. TSM will be able to get themselves a very centralized location playing out of Survey Camp here. So I don't know about the loot for them, but they have been prioritizing a lot of their macro right now and have rounded things out. Taking a look at the last of the picks, I mean, Dome, Geyser, Sky East, a lot of the teams really trying to avoid some of the contested areas, right? Because Sky is split up between Sky West and Sky East. Typically, you don't want to challenge in that regard, but Elevate feel comfortable in that regard. And one of the interesting things to note here for NA is just kind of the strength of teams there on the northwest side. You've got EA and I believe Falcons and Sky West. And so this could make for very interesting rotates and how teams shadow each other on the rotates down to the south side if we get those circles.
It's going to be crazy here to see game number 1 as it's underway. We've loaded in, and each dropship has respectively found each individual POI to drop all of our teams. I love these changes because it also makes sure that a lot of these rotates are going to be changed up too, Jamerson. You can expect faster rotates since these teams don't have to wait for the entirety of the dropship for them to get to their actual POIs.
Yeah, so far, I think the timing is about 30 seconds, 40 seconds before zone closes to ultimately leave your POI. But of course, there are a lot of things you have to kind of consider, right? If you've got yourself a ring console or a survey beacon, those things can slow you down. But our teams have been optimizing, especially the teams that have the support staff, that have coaches and analysts to really min-max their loot pathing when it comes to their POI. They will almost always move out at the same time. Taking our first look at the ring, Vicky, and well, it's a northern one. We do have a split between Skyhook and Countdown, but this one is pulling pretty heavily up north.
Well, you know what you reminded me, Jamerson? You highlight the analysts and the coaches and how important that's going to be. And something that we really need to highlight is how I believe Skidmark has... I can't believe that name is crazy. But how that team has Raven actually at the helm of guiding this team. And I feel like something that people are going to have their eyes on is to see how they're going to be able to recover here with Raven actually navigating around that team. But I also do believe what we just witnessed right there was that Oxygen Esports was able to, Vayne was able to get a finisher and a knock onto one of the members of board off the rip. We have just started the game with violence here, and Oxygen Esports making a statement.
There are points on both maps, right? If you take a look at World's Edge, typically, yeah, that thermal station tree side, players can try and stretch their jump to really contest that extra beacon or that extra loot there. You're also looking at like cliffside. That northeast side of Storm Point is another point of contention where teams can max out their dropship, their flight path, to try and get that extra loot, or you'll see an early fight. So that is another thing that you do have to consider. While we don't have direct 50-50 contests, moments like that can still happen.
We heard it when we talked to Nasky a little bit earlier in the EMEA show. It's still very possible to call out one of these stragglers. We've already seen it happen. Now we see it again for game number 1. And talk about quick rotates here. So many teams seeing this volatile circle, they've learned their lesson, especially after LAN, right? We've seen sometimes the circle pull over to the Lonely Grandma house on the north side of Trials, northwest side of Skyhook. And so many squads have already gotten ahead of the curve to rotate there because we know how volatile that circle could be when the squads that are stuck over by Countdown or by Skyhook inside these buildings where a lot of teams could coexist end up getting called out on their rotate.
Ooh, take a look at this shadow coming out as Native trying to get down the hill, make their way into Fragment, but a third party actually possibly forcing him back. Most hated, though, were on the hunt for that. Luckily for Yup, they will be able to get their way into the buildings and probably leapfrog and safely get in. Down over here at Trials, though, Team Falcons getting into an early fight. That's going to be the first one to go down. That's dropped.
That's going to be huge here. Zero going to be able to get that first pick here, too. They put up the catwall on top of it. Can they capitalize now as Hal tries to swing around? Isolating the team that's right to their back, too, so that way they can tear to take this fight. They get another knock on top of that. Quick pickings here for Team Falcons, which is going to be big because they also are going to be able to come out of this fight with the blue Evil Shields and extra loot to work with.
Yeah, if they can try and ferry a lot of this extra loot on in, get all the extra cells down there, get all the extra throwables, especially the utility, you're going to want to have that in hand. If this zone continues to pull up towards this Trials area, we do see circles, of course, basically ending right outside of this, just to the southwest. And so having those throwables makes that exit so much easier. But that's a fantastic start for our Falcon squad. Oh, there were a lot of questions at the beginning of this, especially when you basically put two of the best IGLs in North America, nay, the world, onto the same team. How's that going to work out? There was a lot of concerns, Vicky, that there might be too many cooks basically in the kitchen.
But how many of them are burning the food is the question, depending on how they're going to rotate here, too. I mean, you talk about cooking up. I mean, CCE, they are really stuck on this Rampart pick, and that's what I heard. The Sheila blaring through the air. So CCE, they run this similar composition onto Stormpoint, except in minus the Loba, they usually run the Valkyrie as NRG. Another team over here by Skyhook. Another Evil Harvester is right there, so they can expect other squads to try to take advantage of the Evil Harvester on the rotate here, too. But while they are in Skyhook East for now, there's about the rest of the lobby minus 3 other teams already in Skyhook West.
But here on the
and on the other side of Trials.
Yeah, here on the southern edge, though, it's Complexity versus Oxygen. Oxygen just taking way too long. We've seen this time and again when it comes to thermal teams. This is a huge POI. It takes a while for you to get out. It allowed Complexity to come in, but it does seem with that smoke off, Oxygen gets over to the other safe choke points, and Complexity just gets some chip damage off onto them. They are close, though, it looks like, for Monsoon. 224 off on that Evo, and with a lot more ground to cover, they should easily be able to get themselves purples going into round number 2.
Let's not forget that Oxygen also took a little bit of their time to make sure they took out one of those members from Tree. See more teams coming in from the sky. Look how many gunshots are blaring through the air, though. literally weaving around to get into this exact spot that they came from the skies in. But while they do that, look at their loot pool right now. The Vault with a white extended energy mag, lackluster energy ammo. This is going to be the case here while they do want to play for final circle positioning.
Yeah, white attachments, white equipment basically across the board. And this is not one of those spots that you can easily get some extra loot. A lot of the action isn't going to come your way. You're going to have most of the pileup on the south side, especially inside of Sky West and Sky East respectively. Getting a better look at this ring in just a moment. Will it continue to pull north? There's a slight chance that it can come down here towards Countdown, but no, this will continue to hard pull up towards that northwest side. Tripod, Weave, basically in some of the best positions for it. It's Weave, though, that do not really have the equipment to try and convert this into more for themselves. For Tripods, though, they have a lot of angles to play off of. It can be a little bit dicey in the mid game, but as long as they can navigate it, keep their back clear, that position can be an easy top 5.
Especially if they have better loot compared to Weave here, too. While Board, this is the team that we were talking about. This is the squad that lands over by Tree. They lost on their Bloodhound early on, so playing more so by the edge patiently to see if any other teams are in the area. Do know to their north side in the middle of Skyhook, we have NGNL Esports. Yup, over to their left. This is tough too, because when you don't have a support legend, there's not really much you could do there. You have to abandon the banner if you don't feel secure to take it. We even saw Oxygen trying to camp it out at one point, and now they're forced to play it out as a duo.
I believe E8s might have lost out on one on their rotation here. It's very surprising at this point, but for now it looks like we might have a huge standstill. I mean, this is what happens when we get into Skyhook. So many buildings, so many positions for teams to basically coexist, and honestly you can fit the entire server in here, no problems. No one doesn't we can all be good neighbors. You can make sure you're not stomping around at 2 p.m. but no, Ambino is going to definitely make noise here.
They don't want any State Farm, all right? They're just going to be able to try to passively try to see if they can take some shots while also being aggressive without giving up their position. But I love how you highlighted that, Jamerson. Skyhook is one of those POIs where when the circle pulls in this direction, you can expect there to be 20 squads in Circle 3, and then Circle 4 is where you see a lot of the chaos with the squads that have to shift outside these buildings, out into the open, especially to that north side, since that's where the circle looks like it's pulling towards.
Yeah. Right now, we do have complexity. They ran into Oxygen on the rotate up north, but they find themselves in Countdown as we join on board with SSG. I believe they just saw a team take this balloon onto the other side of this. They'll take this moment to be able to hit that scan. It's very nice to have that information because, again, they don't quite know if it's going to be pulling in towards Skyhook, in towards Countdown. Now, small engagements here or there. Everyone's trying their best to get some extra chip damage off. You can see Moist already sitting on red armors for Waltzy. I believe Slayers went down for the second time as well. E8 were able to res him back on in, but it's TSM now trying to give them the death blow.
All eyes on TSM right now as they try to infiltrate the building, trying to call out the player, trying to gatekeep the stairs right now, but so many different angles that they could hold, including an angle by the window if they want to try to press them. Remember, there's still so many other squads in the area with energy looking at this team with hungry eyes. Nice beam from Zap, but he gets beamed without looking in his corners. There was a player waiting for them right there, so it's a trade-off right now as Zach Mazer is literally one-shot TSM looking to restabilize.
Should have been so much easier for TSM here. They had done so much damage off the rip. Slayer getting rezzed and somehow surviving throughout that fray. They do end up getting zapped back on up, and I don't know if they traded it on the other side, but they need to buy time here for Zap to go for the full heal. He needs to get the bat off along with that med kit, but I don't know if he's actually got one. Luxford was going for that peak, forcing TSM back. Elevate, they'll survive for now.
Oh, but this fight is going on for so long and wasting so many meds here too at the same time, so both of these teams were able to reset. They're holding each corner too, just to make sure that they're not in the line of sight of any of the windows in the outskirts. Since once again, NGNL are looking at them, NRG are looking at them from the train station too, and they're gonna eventually have to move with a nice little overhead on the mini-map. Luxford with these beams though on the Havoc right through that smoke. Interesting too, he doesn't have the turbocharger either too, and they're lacking on energy ammo. Look at that, all three players actually.
You know, so many teams highly prioritizing trying to get into Skyhook so early on, forgoing that extra ammo. Some of them could have definitely done with pathing around to replicators, get some extra ammo at the very least before you engage into this area. It's so hard to secure so much of the loot, especially when you're playing a man down like E8s, who had to get Slayer back into this game, and now you're already cannibalizing your resources, and then going into those protracted fights will continue to add on to that pressure. With that last ring closing, though, we do have another hard pull up to that northwest side. So Team Weave definitely benefiting for taking that very risky position up on the northwest side, that really risky balloon to get themselves there. Tripods also in a very strong spot to finish this one out. It should be a top 5 for either one of them.
Let's reposition there.
It's good for Weave, though. As long as they play by the rocks, they have a lot of cover to work with there, even with the lackluster loot that we saw them with earlier on. As this fight now, in the outskirts of Countdown, Complexity looking to take this fight versus Oxygen. Skid's still alive as a rat. Maybe he could scoop something up here, but Complexity are too busy rolling Oxygen right now. Rolling Thunder creating so much space. Kimchi falls incredibly low, shooting blind through the smoke before finding maybe the knock right here. Lou gets the follow-up right afterwards, but it's no vision. They are trying to see everything here, and Lou's the only one on this Bloodhound trying to see if he can get a scan here right through the cat wall, and they finally find Oxygen. In the distance, Complexity looking to reset.
Yeah, that was a big fight for Complexity. It was huge that Monsoon was able to buy enough time. Even though he needed to bat himself, he knows that Lou had to go for the full reset for SSG. They might be forced back out of this lobby now as they get dropped on, and they go down in 19th. That's going to be MGNL to pick that one up. Monsoon now, Moist coming in to finish things off. It was not the full reset. Complexity did not have the time, and they will go down. At the very least, though, they pick up the KP, but it's unfortunate that they do not get any placement points here. Another third party as Edgers are looking to try and find an angle onto them, but it looks like they will survive for now, get the full reset, and get inside safety.
And they get the finisher, too, with that Arc Star placement. Big job for them here, because they're still going to be able to hold that building where the survey beacon is. But look at this circle. Jamerson, we called it with Weave. We saw when they took the balloon, they landed here. They were going to sit pretty, because this is also a type of position where if any of these squads, looking at CCE, running the Rampart with the amp walls, tripods, even Elevate, all these squads will be in the line of sight of other teams that are going to easily take some shots and pressure them out. So Weave, for right now, they're safe until that following circle starts to collapse.
Yeah, for CCE, that position's not only strong, but I think they've got rampart walls down, and so they'll have extra cover in an area that has a lot of grooves and a lot of dips in the natural terrain of the land. A little small bridge to play off of as well. You can see right there in front of that smoke that Trev Stacks is playing off of. So this is already a strong position, but having that rampart to provide those walls, the amp cover, is huge. Of course, you get that extra boost in the damage if you're firing through the amp cover, and so they can basically play off of economy. They don't their ammo goes so much further when you get into that position. Here on the south side, or excuse me, the eastern side of Skyhook, though, we are starting to get a small pileup. We got TSM, NRG, NGNL all creeping up here from the east side as Trips ends up getting finished off by MJ.
Oh no, they looked away for 2 seconds. They were grouped up together, but Trips was just a little far out. Now losing out on their Bloodhound. No scans for them to work with. Running for their lives as I believe it's Board that's on the high ground just looking at them. Maybe a solo there from Board too. Well, TSM still sharing some of that space with Elevate, who are looking at this building. And Eternal EC have now flown in from above right in front of their doors.
And they had to evacuate off the top of Trials there, and they decided to go all the way to the northeast side. I mean, it's difficult for teams to try and find a proper landing here when you have CCE set up in the middle, Weave holding the north, Tripods holding the west. And so now we have about 5, maybe 6 teams stacked on top of each other here on the eastern side of Skyhook.
This is actually crazy. This is what we're expecting, though, in the long run. You're the fuse in the distance now. Has fun with some of these pings. Try to see where they can try to go through. Nocturnal's gonna be able to clean up another KP. And right now, we're also seeing the Kraber going crazy. But this is from Carter's hands in the distance. While Falcon's Chen survives with 1 health. He's able to pop what looks to be the shield bat or maybe a shield swap in their early engagement with 14 squads left. This is a tricky situation to be in right now once those smokes are up, unless they have a wall.
Yeah, luckily for them, a lot of the buildings here onto the southeast are gone. You can see that only that corner of that building is available, and there are teams contesting each other, basically fighting over that. So that leaves some freedom for Falcons to actually creep up that mountainside, but Tripods are keeping an eye on the south. Over here at Market, though, this is the typical kind of pileup that we end up seeing when it comes to Skyhook here, and it's up to TSM to try and navigate this one. We do have the wall available here to try and make this cross, but I don't know how well they'll be able to utilize that, especially when you got CCE set up. But at TSM, they have to survive this first wave of contact, and they will. Edger's going down, but from the flank, Refs with the double time is able to back out. Verholz holding the angle now will force them back. They still need to get Zapto up.
Oh, they're going for the res right here. They can also play off the Jen as some extra shield just to make sure they can be behind it, but they have to start moving now. No, as the ring closes in, it re-knocks Zap. Verholz now trying to give some suppressed fire for Reps. They put up the catwall just in time. This is the chaos that you can expect. Exiting out of Skyhook, it is NRG, Yup, Elevate, all trying to fight for their tournament lives right now as TSM are going to be rotating off the south side where they are in the line of sight of Team Falcons.
Now Weaves are trying to clean up that eastern side. They send two members on over. Elevate now down to just Luxford here as she picks one up. Again, that centralized position so incredibly strong. Falcons pushing out as well. And now it's up to CCE to try and hold the line with these walls here. They've got Sheila amped up, set up to try and melt this team. It's Imperial Hell on the other side of the Sheila to go down 0 as well. It's all up to Jen Burton now to try and keep his team alive. We are down to 5 squads.
This is such a strong spot to hold with these barriers. Are you kidding me? The Sheila new tubing everything through the catwall as well with all those nades. Now trying to find an opportunity to find Jen. Trying to play his life off the lip. They slowly crouch behind him. Take care of Jen. Wipe out Team Falcons. But they gave up their spot in the meantime. CCE having to look behind them.
Oh, and they end up going down. We're down to our final 3. 7 players remaining. Tripods here. The team that came in for the ultimate third party, and now the reset to try and get him up. We do have the mother load slowing things down, though, as we try and push in from the northern side. Diving on it. It's the final fight here is Shitty with the knuckle cluster is going to keep them contained, allowing them to just surround them and swarm. Huge victory for Weave. We were worried about their position going into that north side, but the zone kept blessing them time and time again, and they were able to utilize that spot for an excellent victory.
That was still such a great spot. Even if the circle pulled towards the houses over to the side, they were in a great spot in terms of rotation because they could be on the other side of the train tracks where they could then use the natural cover that the rocks and the tracks provide to then rotate toward, I believe where we saw was Tripods there on that north side. And they land in Climatizer East. So that was great on Weave to also make sure that they could pressure out a lot of these other squads. We saw the Fuse, he had like less than 20 bullets in that Hemlock, and he was still making magic happen with that knuckle cluster.
Yeah, I love the Fuse when it comes to especially these late games, but just the simple fact that it provides a lot of utility, right? People think, oh yeah, it's chip damage, but no, it's also area denial and so much more. You get information off of every tick that ends up connecting. It's almost like a quasi Bloodhound scan as well, if you end up connecting onto someone with it. So I love the Fuse coming out. I think he, definitely one of my favorite legends just to play, especially in quick play. It's just fun to run around in pubs and nade spam the hell out of everybody, as you got to see there for Weave.
I call him a professional griefer for a reason, Jamerson. Now I know what side you're on here as we get to see them not only win with the Fuse, but can we talk about the legends that we witnessed in that lobby for game 1? We talked about it with CCE with the Rampart being able to hold down that middle area of where that circle was pulling. From the very beginning, it looked like, and the Loba, so they're not denied any loot whatsoever. But notice the moment that they gave up that position to fully dive on the solo that was left from Falcons, which was Jen, that was a perfect opportunity for Tripods to just scoop in from right behind them and get extra KP themselves.
Yeah, and it was really unfortunate for Falcons because, they were in a spot where they could have tried to creep up to the north, but Tripods, I think, really did dissuade them, force them to the south, had to force them to basically get into that mad rumble on the eastern side of that zone. I mean, the rest of the lobby, half the lobby was basically stacked on top of each other, trying their best to survive. Falcons going to play off of KP at that point, but I don't think they ended up picking up that much.
No, it was difficult too with the direction that they had decided to rotate from and then going through Skyhook in general. That was the bloodbath that we were expecting. We saw the circle in the first place. All those teams that have to funnel outside those Skyhook buildings, even going through the open area of the right side of Trials, you are just out in the open for so many teams to take shots at you. But that's also why we're seeing a lot more of the Catalyst come into play. So when that wall is up, you could block that entire side of the lobby so that way you could get a better rotation out of that.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm loving the Legends pick that we've gotten so far. We know the strength of Catalyst and all, but like you had mentioned, being able to see the Rampart, being able to see the Fuse, particularly for CCE, that Rampart was probably one of the strongest Legends you could have brought into that particular spot. It's already a really strong position to hold because you do have a lot of nice headshot angles, but having that extra amp cover to play around was massive for them, bringing in the Loba as well. There were going to be plenty of bodies in the outskirts for them to pick up. They were going to be able to get extra utility off of that, extra nades, extra heals if they needed it. So it was just beautiful positioning for them. But it was Weave ultimately playing that slow game, playing that long game from that north side that were the ultimate beneficiaries of the ring pull.
I can't wait to see how all this KP and the placement points come into effect here before we get into our second game. But that's going to come to you guys at the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll have match 1 results and series standings after this.
Back to the ALGS. It's match day number 1 here in Split 2. I'm Rain Day, and I'm joined by Jamerson to continue the action as match 2 is nearing upon the ignition, pressed and getting ready to go like we expect. It seems, and speaking of ignition, that it would be a blazing start for a team that has been the talk of the town, Jamerson and Falcons. And while they did get a top 5, and it pulled exactly to the location that they picked in their POI draft, it felt like maybe more of a subtle game than I would have anticipated. Maybe in terms of their eyes too, they pop off with 20 kills. This one felt more mild but solid, and we have the results here to show you in just a moment. I believe on the screen exactly what transpired. It was Weave who, as you were so apt to describe there in that final call, took the win with 6 kills and 12 placement points, rounding out our top 10 here, Jamerson.
And this was a pretty easy rotate for them. We saw them get into that rock position very early on. They were first pick, well, 5th pick, but first round, taking Climatizer East. And so, you know, balloons, just to get on over there. You get into the Skyhook tunnel, train tunnel on the northeast side, and they're able to get into that position very early on. So a really good utilization of their draft and, of course, the ultimate zones. I think for Falcons, what happened there was just that it was just an unfortunate reading on the zone, because because of course they have priority. They're from Skyhook West. If any team can get there into the position where Tripods were or we were, it would have been Team Falcons, but they kind of wanted to play this one a little bit more 50-50 to leave their options open if this one pulls down to Countdown, if this one pulls a little bit outside of Trials there. So I understand that positioning.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They played at the bottom of Trials and just gave themselves a chance. They didn't know, and that was one of the issues there, but it ultimately ends up securing them 9 points in game one, which is not too bad. TSM rounding out the 10 with 6 points as well. LG right behind them, tied with 11 place, and the Edgers right behind them. All the way at the bottom, Oxygen Esports, Frex joining Aiden Vane to be able to bring a little bit of that history performance. He's just a high tier performer across NRG, SSG, and now Oxygen. You would expect to see that. Meanwhile, the former SSG, the new SSG now, not having the same results. No kills, no placement points, a true zero here. One of the only two teams alongside Most Hated with that type of start. Jamerson definitely looking to pick it up, but good news is there's still 5 games left.
Yeah, we still have 2 left remaining here on World's Edge. I wanted to go back to Oxygen. You know, it was just being over there at Thermal Station, having that initial early contest over the beacon, slowed them down quite immensely. Complexity were trailing them, and I think both teams kind of let that tempo get away from them. Consistently kind of paralleling each other on the rotate up to the north-hand side really did hamper their ability to get on in. So we'll see if maybe they want to adjust their timings a little bit there when they get a northern zone like that.
Yeah, I know. It all depends, too. I mean, how does today's World's Edge, shake out, where we see Northern Zone sometimes become the antithesis of what is actually available? It could be an echolocation day if you're talking Storm Point, where it's just 2-3 times in a row. World's Edge has given us a lot of variety, though. Even earlier in EMEA, we saw some Epicenter, we saw some Overlook style, kind of northwestern zones. And so it does seem like there could be, maybe a little North Zone here. We don't know, though. That's the beauty of it. It's all random when you get down to it. And, of course, these pros are going to be up for anything. But that certainly will make that journey a lot harder, Jamerson, if you have to parallel a team who's doing that same type of rotation for you and vying for the few spots that are remaining by the time that you get there.
Yeah, and speaking of teams that are going to be paralleling, if we do have, like, southern zones, take a look at the grouping in the Northwest. It's absolutely absurd. Yeah. You do have Falcons up there. You got Elevate. You got TSM as well playing out of Survey Camp. And so there are multiple opportunities for those three teams. I think teams everyone's keeping an eye on to run into each other on those rotates. So I love how this new POI draft system has created already these kinds of situations.
And as you see it here, a great overview of our draft. Falcons, notably, an interesting point, had, I think, the second or third pick on the day, and they chose to go for Skyhook East. The interesting thing is that Elevate used their second pick, which was about 35th, to pick on World's Edge. They prioritized Storm Point, and so that left them with a choice probably of a much lesser POI or kind of half contesting TSM, sharing that Skyhook space, which obviously can make things difficult if they both have to rotate, and of course mean they will run into each other a little bit more often. Excuse me, Falcons, not TSM. But all of this looks pretty good. Oxygen Esports, you mentioned they're in Thermal. Jamerson, a lot of teams here giving themselves a chance with their new draft, meaning that they're at least going to be able to land and get going before they have to fight.
Yeah, the nice thing about this draft system is that you do have opportunities to adjust on the fly or board. I think, you touch the oven top. You don't really want to risk another burn here, so they should be leaving a lot of that thermal station available for Oxygen to basically prioritize, get all that loot, get every last morsel along with the beacons. Maybe you try and tell them a little bit later on, if you end up not getting a beacon scan there on the tree side, you have 2 available to you inside of thermal station on the southeast and on the northern side. So you might just want to slow play things and just keep track of where our teams are flying in from.
Well, as match day number 1 continues, it is really a test of patience as to who is going to come out after 6 games. There's so much expectation on so many of these teams. You're bound to trip a little bit as you get your feet wet and get started going toe-to-toe, and the heat increases here in the ALGS. But if you can at least fix these things along the way, make a few mistakes, get back up, and like Weave, continue on after maybe making some good plays, well, there's a possibility of taking home a win today. Still a lot to do, and Loterie knows it as they pick up the G7 and the car. and get loaded up.
And this is a composition with a double assault that we don't see as often. That fuse has been picked up. A lot of times it does come in that third flex position. You still want to have the bang along with that bloodhound. But not having a controller legend, I'm so surprised, not having that map scan to know exactly where it's going, just kind of playing off of instinct and your own history on this map. And oh no, Renee.
Yeah.
We've already gotten our second North ring.
We had a feeling here. we had a feeling, and it is random, but at the end of the day, I think really it goes down to it where sometimes you just have those days where echo or skyhook. It seems to be one of those skyhook days. So teams, at least they'll be familiar with this rotation. And it also means that if you were 5th, or hey, maybe if you were 20th, you hopefully can understand and have a quick understanding of what didn't work well. I mean, it's one of the things that Nasky was talking to us about in EMEA, having the awareness of where your POI is. Maybe it's not your preferred spot if you have to go up to Skyhook. Maybe you would have rather landed somewhere else. But Jamerson, seeing the teams around you, having landed so many of these different places, he has an expectation of where he should be. Even though this is where he's practiced much often, he knows, well, that team lands there. They're out by this time. So this is the pace I have to keep with my team. Otherwise, I know something is wrong. Those are the things that IGLs now have to have in their back pocket of awareness if they're going to be successful.
Yeah, someone needs to rein in whatever's going down over there by tree. Hold on just a moment, though. LG finding themselves in an early engagement now. Early damage out from Sweets as they're trying to chase down CCE, but I believe it was a bracelet out to keep him alive. And LG now taking up all the space here. Spots one stuck inside of the train tracks now as they try to get on up, taking a lot of damage, hitting for flesh, but Sweet is not able to finish him off quite yet. And there it is, the last bullet to take out Cap.
Truly a generational talent in the ALGS and Apex in general. One-man show sometimes is the way to describe Sweet. Just last man alive for his teams, whether it's NRG or LG now as of late, and really always can make something happen. Always a threat as long as he is on the battlefield. Elevate a team that's changed quite a bit. Last season, they were a team that, in many opinions, had a lot of upside and could have been making a bigger splash at LAN. They got caught up in some contests, though, and unfortunately weren't able to get the results they wanted later on, and then Roster Mania hit him hard. But Zach Mazer is still working to bring the momentum back to that team that just has so much promise and continues to, and again, really the resurgence and the revitalization of Zach Mazer in the ALGS. It's been a great thing to see.
Yeah, and with the amount of time of preparation they've had for this, it's only been about 2 weeks that they've been playing together under this iteration. So I've been liking what I've been seeing out of Skrintz. He's been doing a great job as an IGL of really reining in Slayer and microing him, because I think a lot of people do kind of understand Slayer can be sort of a lone fox at times. He does go off on his own, tries to find the plays, but Zach is clear with him in terms of his comms and what he wants him to do, how to hold angles. So it's been refreshing to see that kind of shot calling coming out from Zach, ultimately, especially if he can get his team into the late game. It is one of the most devastating forces to really deal with. Slayer, Zach Mazer, all on top of your head. It is not something I would ever want to find myself on the other side of.
Now, Slayer has a lot to prove as well. I mean, it was truly just a matter of Sykes has probably got a bigger pedigree there in terms of Apex Legends. He's done it with XZ, he's done it with Dark Zero. Imperial Hal, probably the only person that could warrant being taken out of that roster after their incredible performance at LAN. And so LG dropping Slayer for that, well, he's got to feel like, you know what? Ultimately, I'm going to try to make sure that wasn't the best choice. I love Sykes, but I shouldn't be dropped for anybody, and now it's got a chance to prove it with Zach. We'll see if the leadership can create that as we see a little bit of TSM, we see a little bit of Weave. People starting to set up here. A lot of our teams already rotating up north to Skyhook. They know the drill, but still a few teams taking their time.
Yeah, there's still an opportunity for this to go over towards the landslide area, into that open ground, but
that's true.
You can see how much of Skyhook is still open, so I can understand why a lot of our teams are putting their focus on to Sky instead of landslide, and that does leave it free for teams like NGNL. For Team Falcons, though, they are here on the multi-level floor. It looks like they wanted to go for a 3-man push on up, and I think they were able to spot it out. Yep, white armor's on the other side. Team Falcons want to take advantage of this one.
And I don't really want to be pressured too. It's part the fact that yes, they could share this building, but there's more pressure for them to potentially get sandwiched and have no way out. If they can get that high ground, possibly, it would give them a little bit more opportunities to feel safe. But at this point, they just do not want someone to be pressuring them from down below. Right now, they seem content. EEC having a good job, doing a good job. CCE, by the way, a big shout out to Trev Stacks and them. We'll have a chance to see them if they make it again. But the Rampart, I loved it. He's somebody who, you know, I first caught last couple of months playing in our Nessie Cup. It was a creator invited event. Well, ended up finding his way into our pro league, and that Rampart, and with the sniper presence that he brings, it's going to be a threat. A lot of our pros maybe haven't experienced that player in this squad too often, but I was not surprised to see them in a top 5 situation. One of the biggest skills. And right now, Falcons, oh, they're making a move.
That was a huge call coming up from Zero. They were waiting on that scan. They noticed that there was one player remaining on top the roof by himself. They tried to make the move, but as soon as that scan went down, he knew he had to back away as well. So Team Falcons, they are really firing on all cylinders at this point. Hell, with that Bloodhound scan, the Beast of the Hunt pop doing a lot of damage here, forcing that team all the way onto ultimate low ground. Another scan in. A little bit lost here, but they do finally spot them out. Hal wants to push on in, but he's going to utilize that nade to try and flush them out and allow them to peek down from here.
Oh, wow.
You can see they are stuck inside of the offices. So now absolutely boxed in, but Team Falcons regroup as a full 3 men and want to go for the swing once more.
This is the benefit of Catalyst right here. If you wonder why she's so strong, this is it. I mean, look at those piercing spikes. Really, so much ammo to get rid of them, and no one wants to run through them. However, Jin Burton has the chance to get a little bit more aggressive because he is the Catalyst. He can walk through those things, and look at that, the pressure from top down, and they just push them down floor by floor until they leave the building. What a showcase there of really, I think, just ALGS bullying right there. I mean, that was Eternal EC going, all right, you guys gonna try to take this fight again? Seriously? All right, let's just get out of here. You take it, you want it. And ultimately, Falcons got what they came for.
Yeah. And now as we take a look at that final ring pull, it is going into Skyhook. So the teams that were able to get into those positions early on will benefit from that for complexity. Playing from hard edge, basically on the southern side of the map now, have worked their way on into the northwest side. SKD, though, playing on top of the tower will not make it easy for them to get underneath, but it does seem like complexity. We're able to navigate that. For the time being, though, our Watson compositions coming out, taking control over these rooftops will create a lot of space for them to possibly peek out from the sides, try and sneak some KP here or there. We'll see, though. For tripods, they are playing off of that caustic, and I think with this setup, with this building that they're currently in, no one's really going to be able to evict them unless someone goes for too long of a peek out of these windows and ends up going down, but they are not risking anything at all. They were all stacked up on top of each other inside of that toilet, essentially, and so they're not risking anything. They understand the strength of this comp when it comes to Skyhook, when it comes to those Skyhook endings. One Nox gas grenade can easily pick up 5 KP in late game.
Yeah, and they won't be worried about much approaching, shooting with that flatline iron sight from that distance. I mean, the man must have 20/20, maybe even more clarity. I wouldn't be able to do it, I will tell you that. But tripods, they are feeling themselves, and never underestimate a team that's coming into a tournament like this with momentum from another tournament, qualifying for the EWC. That's just given them a bit of prestige, and in the back of their minds, a bit of self-esteem going into this, to where, you know, if you had an opportunity to play with full confidence, to play like you know you belong, well, they certainly have it right now. And we'll see tripods continue to hold that position as Yup, Duplex, Sin, and Osivian trying to fight their way through the tunnel. They can hold pretty right now with the Watson. Duplex and the pylon means no grenades coming soon, but it's Moist on the other side of that Duplex are pushing, and Moist seems like they're ready to give it up and just continue that rotation a little earlier.
I believe as an attempt at a third party there, but they were absolutely set up for success. Having that pylon down, having the extra fences, now just about watching their back. I believe the remnants of Weave are still behind them. Not entirely too sure if they were able to recover their banner.
Oh my!
No, they weren't ready for that. It was a 3-2-1 on, I believe, a player that was trying to get that ultimate excel off. And what kind of timing is that out of Weave? Oh. Getting some revenge for their down teammate.
Absolutely insane. The timing was perfect. It even caught us off guard. You watched it, but if you blinked, you missed it. That is how fast Weave took it down, and just with 2 players as well, Loader and Riley McKinnick. That was a masterclass and what the 3-2-1 means. Let's wait, count it down, and then we'll surprise them with so much damage that there's really nothing you can do. And that certainly was nothing to do there. Oxygen on the other side in their own fight. SSG also in a skirmish. This team out of the zone, though, and having to move in. Will they wrap around, or will they just try to go through it? Seems like maybe wrapping could be the safest choice with how many teams are holding that spot. And 45 seconds, they've got some time.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that was a fat finger on the other side, but as soon as they heard the Bloodhound ultimate going off and really no damage going across their way, I think the lowest person was at about 150 HP. So they know, yeah, we don't have to fight this at all. Why would we want to fight into the Bloodhound when we haven't taken any damage? There's so much distance between us. They've already used up all their smokes. So SSG, just avoid that fight for now. They can work their way on in, but they do meet some resistance. Board as a 2-man are down here, and as soon as they spot them, Board are out of there.
You're not bored anymore. I'll tell you that. That's not exactly what you want to see. They were just hoping to chill for a second, but all the little things that end up cascading down and changing the fate of these teams. CCE, Trev Stacks, Cap, Cobra, I'd mention them. They find themselves still in the top 20. No team has gone down yet, Jamerson. That's pretty surprising. It's been a lot of action for not one full team to fall. It does sound like we're getting a little bit of a revive there as well, at least auditorily. It looked like maybe somebody got a player back, but here it is. Waltzy says it's time to go on the Bloodhound hunt and push forward.
Yeah, they need to utilize this time from the wall to get MT back on up and for the full reset. So Waltzy charges forward with that Beast the Hunt as they clear out a lot of those traps. Now charging forward, Waltzy with the wide swing backs away as Gildersons comes to provide some support, and it's Osivian to go down. There's another pickup. Weave end up getting eliminated here as that zone closes in on them. That pressure coming out. Moist will not fall to it as they find more damage here. Charging forward now through that smoke. MT backing up Waltzy here. The wall goes down, slowing things down just a little bit from them, but Waltzy will not relent on the pressure.
Hemlocks firing away, the Volt ready, just in case somebody wants to challenge him up close, but that would be silly, a fool's errand. Gildersons wants to make it known. The Prowler in hand too, and MT hasn't even been shooting for a while, ready to pop out at any moment. Moist looking great here, and it's just a few bullets that's going to take down that Bloodhound. Waltzy, though, doesn't want to risk it. And does that put them in a bit of trouble? Wope and Laser, they could start to push. MT still hiding. He should clean this one up, and he gets dynastied, and he does actually go down. Laser wins the trade, but Most Aided eliminated, and Moist find a way to stay alive.
SSG a little bit slow here on the third party. They were looking for the sandwich, and even though they saw the trades, the distance was a little bit too far. Now charging forward, Koifel does have some nades to create this entry zone for them. Air burst nade now going out for Koi, but there's a Watson jet on the other side. They'll still do it manually as the Hemlock connects, the Volt connects, and now they're charging forward. No trades here. No one really in position for the third party, so SSG, they're happy to have taken this rotate through the south side, to have Ben Gate kept by Oxygen, because that nets them 3 KP.
Yeah, that is a huge just timing play from SSG. These things are going to happen more and more often. We saw a lot of the third parties and then the eventual fourth and fifth party determine who was the last one standing in our final 3. Well, you don't want to be in that position. So how long can you delay a fight? How fast, how effectively can you promote other teams fighting by applying pressure to them? Complexity sitting inside this building where we saw Falcons sitting in earlier. And right now, looks like they're going to have a chance to hold bottom floor. Falcons still in the building, but they've changed locations. And now up on top, NGNL Esports will have a vantage point over the rest of the lobby. They should be safe, but my goodness, somehow Zero finds a way. Always looking for KP is Falcons, and they had another one to the talent.
Yeah, that's going to force NGNL onto the low ground. I mean, their plan was always to drop down to the low, but they needed a pit stop there for Trips to try and heal on up. But Falcons really taking them down early on. Oh, the Gen just to provide a little bit of cover here, but I believe that's going to be Falcons just finishing that one off through the wall. Now Rails trying his best to survive, has to play off the knockdown shield here. It's NRG from above that are slowing down this push for Complexity, for all the teams that are trying to finish them off. Now Nocturnal with an angle, but oh, we saw this story before. You cannot just go for free peeks across the edge like that.
I love the patience from NRG. This team did not have the performance that they wanted over this last split. They went back to the drawing board, changed representation. NRG, welcome back to Apex Legends. We missed you. And now with Reptar, Nocturnal, and Fun under the new banners and on the high ground, looking to stay that way. On the other side, though, a new org as well. You know very well. Jim Burton, Zero, and Imperial Howl representing Team Falcons. 13 points, 4th place as of now with 12 squads left, and round 5 about to close in 15 seconds. They will have to move, Jamerson. Looking at that tunnel and just trying to clear out their west side. This is a team that will not settle for anything less than perfect. So if there's KP to be had, they're trying to get it.
We have 10 teams here on the western side of this zone. This is one of the biggest pileups we will be seeing coming out of Skyhook now, and it's going to be a miracle for any team really to survive. LG have the high ground, SSG have the high ground on the eastern side. Oxygen and TSM are the 2 teams looking to gatekeep all these squads. Now everything being used by every single squad. Rolling Thunders on top of Rolling Thunders. Complexity here stuck on the low ground now, trying to creep on in with that. Here's Zach Mazer though, playing on the other side of the wall to try and punish him. No, never mind. He gets eliminated. As Deeds will be able to find that NRG with a drop down, will only make it the top 10. And there's still few teams surviving here just on the edge. Lou burning down in the ring will ultimately fall. And we still have about 5 teams here on the west.
And the smartest thing about this is that all of the teams who are going to be in our top 4 have not been involved in this fight except to pepper from a distance to find a little bit of damage to make things more difficult on that rotation. TSM, maybe the only team that has a chance here in the fray because they are on top of all the other teams remaining. There is TSM, Oxygen Esports, Ape Gang, and Tripods all in this same building right now, trying to fight for each floor, while Falcons, LG, and SSG sit pretty onlooking from their ivory towers, waiting to see who will step their foot out into the deadly forest. But I think that, again, Falcons are expecting a win. They didn't get it in game number 1. Can they do it here?
Yeah, I mean, you got Falcons, you got LG and SSG just watching on from a distance. I mean, look at these jokers over here fighting over the smallest bit of real estate. But this is the building, right? You're going to have about 4 or 5 levels for teams to coexist on. And it's all up to LG. They're going to have one of the better angles to try and pick up kill points as these teams start flooding out. Falcons, they know they don't really want to force the issue here. They want to take part in the buffet in all of these teams as they jump out of this building.
Safest team to me, it looks like SSG or LG right now, only because I would just think that anyone trying to go towards SSG or LG in that middle or right side is going to get shot. They're just going to get shot from on high. They're going to get shot from LG, SSG. I think Falcons, while they have some decent KP, if you can make it around that rock, you buy a little bit of time, and you also only have to pressure one team and shield yourself from SSG and LG. But look at this, SSG making a move. They realize maybe we're not able to capitalize on this KP as well. They're getting into the fray too. 5 out of our 7 teams, all within about 10 meters of each other, Jamerson, as this zone is about to close.
It's a bit risky here, and LG seeing the move coming out from SSG, try to get a little bit fancy onto Team Falcons right now, but Falcons ends up finding 1 kill onto Funk for Onmu as Tripods move on through. There's so much they have to deal with, and it looks like the barrel itself is actually slowing things down, but that gives them a little bit of cover. Never mind, they'll get finished off. SSG will benefit from that early move on down to the low ground, allowing LG that space to do what they want to do with Team Falcons. But for the time being, we are now down to our final 4 full squads. Make that 3 as Falcons finish off Ape Gang, and it looks like LG now will get finished off next. It's SSG versus Team Falcons, but they should be able to finish this off in a 3v2. They swim on top of Phony and finish them off. Team Falcons, we were wondering how long it would take them to take off here from the ground, and it looks like game number 2, they only needed 1 warm-up game.
Falcons, they find their prey, and it's SSG in game number 2. Zero, Jin Burton and Imperial Howl, their first official win together in the ALGS. And like you said, Jamerson, did not take long. SSG, I thought, had the better position. I thought they had the opportunity to win that fight, but Falcons somehow find a way like we expected them to do. It's a scary thought, but they're called the super team for a reason.
Yeah, and for SSG, they kind of had to make that movement, right? LG was basically stuck up on that post that entire time, kind of angling them out. And so you just don't want to have to deal with that. You might as well try and play for second, try to get the extra KP. You know that there are 4 teams there. The possibility of picking up 5, maybe 6 kills in that fray was absolutely massive, and so getting involved in that would have been so much more important than trying to get an extra 2, 3 placement points here or there.
Yeah, and tough. You know, they may also know, hey, this is the team that we've got right now. We want to play aggressive. We want to find opportunities where we can be, you know, starring in our own show and not sidekicks to somebody else's. So let's play for what we can get. Maybe we win the game. Maybe it doesn't go that way, but at least we've got 2, 3 KP along the way, like you were mentioning. And I think that's a huge element that what SSG and what a lot of the other teams are going to be able to bring to the table, even if you look at a team like Falcons in a heads-up 3v3, probably going to have an advantage. 3 of the best players we've seen in Apex now put together. It's going to be hard to beat that team straight up. So maybe SSG just had those choices wired together. And I like it. I like it. You got to play what works. I think we've seen that again and again, Jamerson. You have to play your style of Apex. You have to play your character lineup of Apex. You have to play your position style, your aggressive style. You can't try to emulate people because ultimately you just got to do what's best for you and your team.
Yeah, ultimately, I loved what we saw out of Falcons there, right? They were able to turn around basically 2 northern zones. One didn't go their way. This time it definitely did. And one of the huge components there, I think, was just LG's positioning. SSG were able to kind of spot that out and say, hey, we can't do anything about them. But if we give them space, they'll try and focus Falcons down. And that's exactly what happened. SSG dropped down to low ground. LG immediately tried to pounce onto Falcons, take advantage of that. But from Falcons here, they got to show that they can play center zone. Game number 1 was maybe just a fluke here, and they just kind of picked the wrong building at that point. They brush it off. Game number 2, they get another northern zone here at Skyhook, and they're able to capitalize.
It's a dangerous thing to show that level of adaptability. But when you put 2 IGLs together who were going head to head against each other as who's the best, well, you should be able to solve these problems. And they've certainly put the work in. That is one thing, whether you like the super team or you don't like it, or you feel like they should have made or shouldn't have made the moves, you cannot deny that they are all hard working to be in this position and going to give it their all. And right now it's proving like it's providing dividends. And Jamerson, SSG, the way they played that too, getting those extra kills, it actually puts them in pretty close parity with Team Falcons. 19 points, just 2 behind the leaders of that game. LG, Ape Gang, Oxygen Esports rounding out our top 5 with a big shout out to Complexity, who find 10 points there. And Jamerson, our bottom 10 teams that looking to obviously have a different result in match 3.
Yeah, Elevate not able to convert that early position in Skyhook, as well as Falcons. You could, of course, say a lot of that could be from the additional loot, the additional evos that you get coming out from trials, as opposed to Skyhook East. But I mean, Falcons navigated that extremely well. Elevate, I think, could have found a little bit more, but we did see a lot of teams really highly prioritizing getting to Skyhook there. It becomes very difficult and almost a toss-up in the end, whether or not you're going to survive that rotation as that zone kept pulling to the east, and with so many buildings, so many contingency plans that you had to have in place, I could easily see it getting away from you.
Well, one of the good things about this overall standings as we take a look after 2 where it sits with Tripods, LG, Weave, SSG, and Team Falcons being our first place team all the way into our top 5. It's just the consistency. Can you get 6 points per game while you're having your pop-off games? That's going to put you in a position to actually win this thing. Team Falcons' 9-point game they had before is why this 21-point game puts them 11 points ahead. It actually really says, wow, Falcons is out in front. SSG just had a great game too, but they had 0 points the game before. You can't have these zeros, these ones, if you're going to be contesting. So we'll find out if it can continue. Will Falcons get their 2nd win in a row, or will someone else in North America step up to stop them? All coming up after this.
Welcome back, everyone. Vicky, Kitty, and Jamerson joining you once again. And Jamerson, just a matter of time, especially when one circle for game one goes over to Skyhook West, far up north, and then the other circle for game number 2 goes all the way towards Skyhook East. And it's even better to see Team Falcons take the dub this time around when they do land Skyhook West.
Yeah, I'm really excited to take a look back at this VOD to see how they did it, because there were so many teams there rotating in from the western side. Like, how much pressure did they apply onto those teams? We got to see the early one where they were able to evict a full 3-man outside of their building, creating a lot more space from them. And I think actually that might have been the crucial play for that game for them. Just creating that extra little bit of space early on might have had a huge domino effect in that victory in game number 2.
And what's even better is what? They're consistently getting top 5 after those 2 games alone. They got 5th in game number 1. They take the dub game number 2. Can they maintain this consistency, though, going into game 3, our final game on World's Edge?
Yeah, with the start like this, I mean, that just means they need 7-8 points per game for the rest of the evening, and they should easily find themselves within the top 3, if not taking the victory. So they set themselves up for success very early on here after 2 games.
And what's even more impressive, I know that Space Station didn't accrue any extra points other than the placement points, but the fact that they landed Dome and they were able to make that rotate all the way up north to that side of the map without falling in the middle of this rotation really highlights the type of team that Space Station is, because that's a bit of a trek there too.
Yeah, in that particular instance, I mean, we were able to see that they were about to actually get trapped in that western pileup on Skyhook themselves until they were getting gate capped, and they said, nah, I don't want any of this, and they decided to swerve on out, moved and rotate through the south side, went all the way on over to the train tracks on the southeast exit of Skyhook, where, you know what, they were also rewarded with some additional kill points from there. And then, of course, having that free rotate up through that little valley, make their way into Skyhook, and then find additional kill points and that second place finish.
Huge finish there for Space Station, especially after making that trek too. As we take a look once again at the different maps that we have coming up. Again, it is World's Edge for this final game before we make that transition over to Storm Point, where we can break down all the different things to talk about, Jamerson, with the POI draft picks that we now have introduced into the ALGS this split. And looking back at the POI drafts again, this is World's Edge, so just seeing where our squads currently land.
Yeah, Falcons, of course, taking that Sky West early on in their draft, and it's already benefited them immensely here. We'll see, though, on the opposite side, because that means they're second to last pick when it comes to Storm Point, but we'll have that discussion later. What I really do want to look at here is just, again, that spread. If you can see, pick number 19 for Overlook, that's Edgers, and that was the final pick in the first round of the draft. And so we had a 10 out of 10 splits when it came to World's Edge versus Storm Points, but in the top 10 picks, it was 6-4 in favor of World's Edge. So far, a little bit of extra weight going over towards World's Edge in the first 10 picks.
Oh man, that's crazy, because it also highlights the teams that feel maybe more comfortable on World's Edge, or it could be vice versa, honestly, there too, where they want to prioritize their pick on Storm Point, and then they know they're comfortable enough on World's Edge where they don't really want to prioritize their pick onto that map. So seeing how a lot of these other teams have been able to play things out while we wait to load into our next game has been really interesting. I mean, coming out of EMEA and now into NA and seeing how this all plays out, will we have a shakeup on this circle? Will it continuously pull over by Skyhook, or is the south side going to get some love?
Yeah, the final picks of the drafts there, Sky East, Geyser, Dome, no one really wanting any of that. Of course, not taking that contest in the Skyhook area, but E8 ended up having to take that one because the remnants were things like Geyser and Dome. Geyser, we know how hard those rotates are. You basically have priority on almost no zone, especially if Pixel goes on over to the western side. SSG also notes that, hey, Dome side, if it's going to be a northern rotate, we're going to have a lot of teams in our way, but they were able to navigate this one. I feel like a lot of this might come down to the weird set of action that takes place between Oxygen, Board, and Complexity there on the southwest side. There's a lot more extra space because those three teams are very preoccupied with each other, and SSG are able to kind of just swerve on past them.
Let me bring up Complexity. Unfortunately, for this final game on World's Edge, they will have to play it out as a duo because I do believe Lou has lost power, so hopefully he can load back in quickly, but that's just going to be the nerf that Complexity has to take for this game alone. hopefully they could just overlook that as we take a nice little flyby of all our squads and the POIs that they've been landing in.
Yeah, I don't think he's the only one that's been plagued with power issues. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Vaxlon, who had like his electrical box explode just a couple days ago or something along those lines. I don't know. There's been a lot of issues plaguing some of our North American players, but hopefully, they'll be able to get it all. They can get it all resolved in the meantime. But yeah, taking a look at, I love this fly through, by the way. It is just, it really does help me. I'm a visual learner, so I need things like this. I constantly have all the maps up, preparing here for North America day number 1 for this weekend of Split 1. I feel like I need an extra monitor because there's so much information we have to parse through now. Having, of course, the ring, the maps, having the draft on another monitor. I kind of feel like I'm a Forex trader here, right? Doing some daily trading at this point, and I need to keep an eye on all the markets.
Don't you love it though? Just with the map feed and just that information of the squads alive alone, like you can just cast off of that without actually looking at the actual game here. But it's nice to be able to have all this information to provide the viewers the best experience out here as we take a look at our all-star team, Team Falcons, after taking that dub in that previous game. Gonna be able to get the Trials loot tooth that they could work with, as well as potentially a gold knockdown shield for Zero to hide into smoke so that way he could get the follow-ups if he has to reset for this whole team. But while they are going to be able to get Trials, I do believe there was a beacon that also, yes, you can hear the beacon actually from Treeside, but also from Team Falcons. They have a ring console for them to work with too.
Oh, we've got the ring pulling down. It looks like this time around, round number 3, board, got the memo. Hey, you have to be careful. Oxygen Esports have been playing spoiler, to say the least, up against them, forcing them to play as a duo for the large majority of the games today. This time around, though, Oxygen playing this one a little bit tighter, closer to the vest. There is no beacon scan to really contest over there. It's just all about that loot. But board definitely have changed it up, have adjusted a little bit to deal with Oxygen being the thorn in the side for Complexity, moving early out of launch site now, trying to get into a power position, going all the way down here to Lava Siphon, taking up that office building spot is huge. The only issue is that meant they didn't have much in terms of a looting path, so they don't have the Evo Harvesters really to utilize. Hopefully maybe one spawns near them and they can smoke out and try and pick that one up, but from here they're gonna only rely basically upon just the damage they do.
Oh, that's going to be so rough here too, especially with that positioning when you have other squads to look out for on your 6. We take a nice little flyby of the other teams taking their time to rotate. Yup, on that low ground on the outskirts of the Vault Tunnel Cave. We know already Complexity overlooking from the high ground in that building north of launch site, while board make their rotate away from tree. Even the Lava Siphon teams, like with the teams that have to rotate through this POY here, NG and L, so much space to also share, but it's because there's 2 beacons here that a lot of these teams do want to take advantage of this information.
Yeah. Even though Dome doesn't have the greatest of loot, it does have some decent pathing because there are so many backup beacons. You can see when they rotate up to the northeast, they have stacks, they have big mod, a lot of great opportunities for them. As we look on a board with tripods, though, making their way through landslide, we have to be a bit careful. They've got EEC to their back, but to their front, it looks like it's largely clear. There is some additional loopins for them to pick up, but it seems like they are just highly prioritizing the zone. They want to get in a little bit faster. They want to make sure they're not caught out here, especially in this era. You know that if you get caught down here in the gulch, it can be extremely bad. I mean, nades get in from every single angle, so they want to try and move in before there's any more threats, and they're rewarded for it, picking up that Evo cash. Edgers trying to use that geyser to move up and apply some pressure onto Complexity. They got spotted out early on, and they are forced back.
And I do not like this spot at all, Jamerson, because you know that there could be a third party coming in from right behind them. That's actually what we saw briefly. I do believe it's not Moist moving in right behind them, while Complexity are not going to give up this position. They have already settled here, especially with the Legend comp, with the Cossack there as well. And they have noted already that board is neighboring the building north of launch site with them, so they do not want to give up that space for free. Well, nice little beam and drive here from Not Moist, just making sure they leave a statement. Well, that squad right below them are going to be able to hide between the crevice of the rocks to their best ability.
Yeah, luckily for Edgers, they've got that Watson set up. Speaking of Watsons, by the way, playing off the caravan here in between launch site and lava siphon. This is a position where they don't really have to worry about anything. This is almost an autopilot position. Just make sure you're not over peeking from the windows. No one's really going to want to try and take this away from you, especially if you got that Watson, because you know that if trades happen here, the third party comes fast. So no team really wants to try and challenge this one. So this is a relatively safe spot for them. For LG, unfortunately, though, this isn't a spot that you have too many angles to peek out from to try and get some damage off, and so they're going to be working a little bit low in terms of Evo progress, but it's one of those positions where you're definitely playing for the late game. You're playing to try and hit top 5.
It's great when you're walking that Watson there too. Sykes painting the entirety of the outskirts of that truck like a Picasso painting, while tripods on top of the hilltop, overlooking the teams that are going to be rotating from No Name. We saw some shots in earlier, but it's about getting the information of the teams that may want to wrap around, because we know that TSM now rotating from that north side of the map are going to be trying to go through the tunnel by Geyser, unless they decide to change their mind and wrap around behind tripods, as they've already committed to trying to cut off TSM on this rotate.
And I love how the Evo Harvesters basically become this mini objective playover. Both of these teams moving to rotate for that right now, but I think Tripod's taking that small moment to hit that replicator gives TSM the opportunity to have priority onto that, and I think they've already made contact over here. For Elevate, though, they are slow playing this on the edge, of course, coming all the way from Skyhook East. They're going to utilize every single ring scan, every single man scan. They're going to try and get Evos along the way. They're at 300 currently for Slayer, and so they should be able to get themselves up to purple no problem whatsoever as soon as this last zone closes.
There you go. That's what they were waiting for right there. Getting the scan, getting the purple Evos. Why they do wait it out here. We've actually looking to see if they have to navigate away, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing for right now. Wondering what's going on here between TSM and Tripods, because not only was there a ring console there, but that Evo Harvester that you mentioned, Jamerson.
Yeah, it does seem like Tripods have made the move, and honestly, yeah, you don't have to fight over this scan when you've got double scans like you had mentioned early on over here at Big Mod. And so Tripods make the right move. I imagine that TSM were able to probably peek their head out and get that Evo cash. For TSM, though, they might have gotten a scan on to players coming in from their flanks, and that's going to be Weave. This is a huge opportunity. Elevator close enough, they might hear it to try and come in for the third party.
Well, that would be crazy here, depending on how long this fight goes, especially when there's a fuse on the other side for TSM to deal with. Let's jump into a listen with TSM to see how they deal with this fight and a potential third party on their 6. Wow, a team with many words to say here, but I love how they called it really early, though, Jamerson. They recognized the situation and their positioning right there, and were so quick to immediately just prioritize their rotate through Geyser, knowing that they were just going to be the ones to gatekeep Weave if Weave didn't back away in time, which allowed Weave to get away right before Elevate decided to come right behind them.
And I think they're, keeping track in the back of their mind that they also had to deal with tripods on that rotate. So they know that there's a possibility of a pinch of a sandwich coming in from that south side. So you don't really have to fully contest onto that one. You can just go ahead and back away. That's what they do. And a little bit of ships passing in the night in that regard, as TSM are now making their way down towards Big Mud themselves. Tripods actually just ended up taking the Geyser to go over towards No Name side. So now it's TSM's opportunity to pick up these scans for themselves.
What a mess over here by Tree right now. EEC versus Oxygen, as EEC trying to get into position. They have the cat wall just in case the third parties amongst them on this rotate being right by the edge, and they are going to be able to prioritize that ring console here to see where that next circle is going to be. As Oxygen are looking at them from afar, they could try to gatekeep them in this position.
We'll see. It would be an isolated fight for them. I don't see Falcons really trying to take advantage of that and give up this platform area on the lava siphon side, especially before you see where the zone ultimately ends. It can go anywhere here, but we do have a more southern pull overall for this next zone. 14 Falcons, though, playing off of this spot. They do get spotted out by a team inside of Lava Siphon proper. We do have a few here. It's Most Hated, NGNL, along with Ape Game playing deep inside that corner. Back on the north hand side of the map, it looks like we'll get an engagement. E8 versus Weave.
Well, it was inevitable here too, with Weave wrapping right behind Elevate now. The scans from both sides here. Sheeny, really up to him to try to put in the pressure, but he immediately gets beamed off the rip while Riley tries to just shoot right through the smokes. Both teammates from Weave now having to reset, but they were able to get the knock onto Zach. That's a big start here for Weave. It's a trade-off after they lose out on Shinny, but E8 with the ring closing out right behind them. It is round 2, but still it's the extra pressure that they're feeling.
Trying to get this finish. They want to try and secure this. Shinny is almost unrecoverable here. Riley peeks on out, doesn't have shields, and he's about to go down to the ring. Riley going down here. We'll see if Floater can maybe finish this one up, clutch it up, but he's taking so much damage, and he does! Swings on down to Elevate, cleans them up, and now he needs to heal up, wait for Shinny to bleed out, pick up that banner.
Thou shalt not pass. Lord of the Rings coming through for Bloodhound to come in to clutch. TSM now also with the pings. Let's jump into a listen with TSM to see their next rotate.
There's an angle we might have to evac in his third this fight, bro.
Going. Bro, like ramp is literally insane.
There's no way
to play under. No, it's not.
Okay, there's a guy standing still right here, though. There's a full team there.
Is ramp not good, though? Like, do we not just fight for ramp?
It is. I think we're gonna have
I have red armor, bro. Like,
I mean, I think we have to kill this team somehow, like and play ramp.
Forget that.
It's a Watson team.
Okay. Let's play ramp. Walk into ramp.
When do we do that though?
But it's a Watson team in the balloon spot.
Yeah, but they're holding out a team on their. We could like, if we pinch them, they're holding out a team on their west.
Yeah, they're like walking on that ramp right now.
If you see a good opportunity, Evan, we have to go for it.
Can we walk up behind this Watson team, I think? You wanna do it now? We have 20 seconds, 25.
We might get mirrored by this team on us.
They just remove one of their Qs. I think we look for it now.
Okay.
I'm coming. Do it, guy!
3.
Ready?
I'm looking. 3, 2, 1, go.
1, watch out! We need to kill that!
Yeah. Thirst now!
Looking.
Walk up, get up there!
Yes, I'm bolting.
I got a bat, get up there now! Just run in!
I'm gonna wall the right side, okay? I'm gonna wall the right side.
They're rezzing right now, they're rezzing right away.
I'm wall the right side.
Knock him, you got to re-knock him.
Bang one! I'm stunned, I'm batting.
I'm gonna get stunned.
I got stunned as well. Bang one, I'm on bat.
I'm banging, I'm stunned.
Yeah. I'm walking up. I have red armor. Yeah, I'm walking up. Can you smoke?
Yeah.
They're walking back. I'm peeking left. They're up top here.
I'm waiting for my bail. Yep. Where are they at?
On ramp. Kill these kids on ramp.
Are they gone? The other team?
I don't see it, bro. One kid on ramp, bro. They left. Check, kill kid.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
smoke up ramp, please. I'm going ramp, I'm going ramp.
We need to
kids right here.
They're gonna peek the door right now.
Yeah,
I have no bats. Yep. I have no bats. Do we have bats?
I'm dropping you a bat, Jordan.
Hold the ramp, guys.
Yeah, I am.
We have a really good spot.
Here. I can as well. They can still mirror us on our backside. We have to watch our back.
Watch out. Just hold ramp right now.
I'm
might peek the side.
There's one Qs. Yeah. There was a solo blow, but I don't know if he died or not. I scanned 20. All cells, please. Anyone? I have one.
No.
Here.
I have 3 bats, guys.
I have one bat. Just get Qs on your back there. Get Qs on the back there and we're chilling. Yeah, I do. They hit the tank gas to wrap it.
By the way.
But they could still wrap it. We're fucking vibing, bro. Like, we have insane sound. We just have to watch our back.
We just have to control this truck after, guys.
Do you have wall event still? No, it's not 40.
Talking about trying to figure out an engagement here, an opening before they were able to wrap around. TSM playing on the edge of the circle, noting that there are 2 other teams waiting for them on the other side of the building north of launch site. While not Moist, the team that they were shooting at originally there too, are going to be able to safely be on that other building that neighbors LG and CCE. Now taking a look also at the action happening on this north side. The squads that aren't in that next circle here, Jamerson, 8, Gan, and Skidmark.
Yeah, there's just so much to talk about in the last minute of what happened there. I think LG ended up evicting Complexity out of that position that they found themselves early on. So it's up to LG now to try and gatekeep TSM, but they've got the consistent threat of CCE right underneath them. For 8 Gang, though, they're trying to slow play out of Lava Siphon right now, but time is running out. Zone's closing on in, and there are multiple teams here on the northern side of this ring looking to stop them. Team Falcons, I believe, who are playing off the platform there on the southwest side of Lava Siphon. SSG looking for some kill points, or possibly just a safe spot to play inside the zone. They are not quite in here on the wall, but they can use this just as a pit stop and maybe take the bearings of the positions around them. Arcstars in onto the team just outside. That's going to be Koi finding the kill onto one. Dupe to fall, but knocked. Trades on back. Now SSG are down to 2.
Oh, and you get the finishers here too, as Koi can't get the res. He could probably try to help out Phony, but he can't see through this cat wall, playing around the rock, waiting for them to come to him instead, patiently seeing what he could do, finding a way just to slide down, and decides, all right, this fight is lost already. I'm just going to be able to try to get away at my best ability. As we take a look at another fight happening, it's going to be Falcons now trying to approach here. I think they were able to get the ping onto the squad, as they were able to also get the first knock initially, but playing off this slight low ground could be detrimental in the next circle.
Just have to be a little bit worried about Moist just to their south right now. Hal through the window, cleaning up Oxygen Esports, brings us down to 11 squads here. Falcons will have the caravan to play off of to stay safe. This was the initial position, I believe, that we saw LG playing out of, and you can see how long it lasted uncontested ultimately here. Not Moist though, looking to get aggressive, not allowing this reset, but Falcons were fast on that one. Waltzy down as Zero tries to find an angle for more. Gildersons will fall. It's going to be Imperial Hell, the only one to go down here for the Falcons. A 1v2 to finish things all off, but Zero now going to try and stick that res as more teams end up showing. Here it's going to be Tripods now coming in for the third party, and that might be the finishing blow.
Oh, let's see here. Zero was just trying to cycle through so much at once, but Jen with the beam on the Volt. All he needs is that white extended energy mag here, and he can make some magic happen. Hal just trying to get into safety to see if they can try to get the reset, potentially, as Jen moves all the way back.
Yeah, it's going to be the Bangalore Ultimate forcing them all the way back here. I don't think Hal survives this somehow with a sliver of HP, and that's the immediate push out as they got the connects on that one. Might have baited them, but Zero is still alive. It's a 1v2, but he is cornered, and Tripods hunt him down. But Zone is taking away and closing on in. I don't think Tripods are going to be able to rescue their third. Here back at Lava Siphon, we've got a 4-team pileup on the north side. NRG, most hated. We've got Weave along with SKD. Which team is going to survive this scramble?
Oh, with double catwall coming in, though. X marks the spot. NRG, you see those pings coming out. Still with full blue shields, as well as they've taken their time in this building. See other spots now moving in. They see that they're flesh. You know that those comms are flowing now, as NRG are dropping all these teams left to right like flies. We've also get eliminated in your feeds. But while they force their way out, it's going to be SKD that they have to focus on, with Most Heated being right behind them. Fun, literally one gets taken out. It's only up to Nocturnal as NRG get eliminated in the chaos.
Tripods getting extremely aggressive here, looking for a little bit more. Most hated stuck in a corner right now as SKD push forward to finish off that last player, but they're not going to let it go away for free. Will Tripods jumping on over the fence side. CCE playing down, top down. LG stuck underneath them. They do have that Watson though, but for CCE on the controller's side, they've got Trev Stacks, of course, playing that Rampart. The Sheila might be huge here to try and clutch up and get some extra kills on the teams playing off to the north hand side, but we've got a weird standstill between Tripods, between SKD. All of them want this final kill onto this last most hated player. No! Laser actually beams one player inside. That's Tripods. But SKD, they prioritize rotating out of this one, getting position for the last ring close, and allow Tripods to get this reset.
Everybody wanted to buy it here. They see the team off the scan. Bloodhound scan for Bloodhound scan. Meanwhile, Sweet trying his best. As CCE, I believe, we'll see it in the feed shortly. Yep, it was able to get Sykes. So just leaving Sweet now as a rat. Huge nade here, but CCE aren't going to be giving up this spot. They hear Sweet right below them, but they have other things to focus on while holding behind these amp barriers. Now the Sheila has come out to play and is waiting for these teams to just funnel in their line of sight.
Yeah, both CCE and SKD know that it's all the tripods. We only need to kill tripods here, and so they've got their sights set on that one, finishing them off. It's down to the final two squads here. CCE, they've got their amp cover set up, and they've got basically priority on this one. You can see once again that high ground angle, the amp coverage wall zone, dropped, able to push forward off that smoke now, but it's gonna be Cave dropping down. He goes down for free. Cobra does trade it back in Trev stacks, brings it down to a 2v1. CCE, they just need to close this one out, and they'll have an amazing first half here on World's Edge with that victory.
The Rampart wins again. CCE bringing something new to the table where they have found that success. It's so hard to base where CCE is in a lobby as stacked as this because of the legend composition that they're running. I mean, are they a gimmicking team? Absolutely, but that is why holding that spot that they were holding for so long is so important. Notice how quick LG tried to rotate outside that truck that we just saw tripods get mowed down in. They try to rotate underneath to maybe see if they could beat other squads to that lip, and they couldn't. And now CCE were able to thrive. That was all CCE to win there.
Yeah, I mean, it was all about kind of knowing the history of that position. If you've played competitive Apex Legends for as long as a team as LG have, they know when you have to move out of that caravan, when you have to give it up, because you know that 3-4 teams are going to collapse on it. They did it early on. They were able to evict complexity out of their spot inside the high ground offices there on the north side of launch site, and then played down. But it was CCE again coming in with that Rampart. It's so strong when you have a power position like that, when you have so much action taking place somewhere else. You get all the free time, all the free space in the world to set up. So great play coming out from both LG and CCE. Ultimately, at the end of the day, really want to shout out CCE because that's two great finishes here in the first half for them.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that they let an Epi and were able to rotate just as quick over to that southern side of the map, south of Lava Siphon. I'm also really excited to see how their change up in their composition actually influence their Storm Point results as we take a look at the match 3 results. 8 KP in the dub going in favor for CCE, while SKD right behind them with 9 KP. We saw all the chaos from the teams that were forced to funnel outside of Lava Siphon and the teams that try to capitalize on the outskirts of the geyser area.
Yeah, they put themselves more towards the south side of Lava Siphon, so there were a few teams that were kind of boxed in on the inner corners of Lava, and so they definitely did take advantage of that. Having the space to move to the east side, you saw teams like NRG getting really piled up on the western side of Lava Siphon there, so it was just excellent positioning coming out from SKD. That's just experience coming out from them. There were moments where they could have been maybe a little bit more aggressive onto squads like tripods, where they would have been able to deal with them earlier on and then set up for that fight up against CCE, but you can't fault them for playing it safe against tripods, because it's tripods at the end of the day. If you make one wrong move, that's a player going down early on, that's CCE getting the free win instead of having an opportunity to at least fight back.
And have like a potential just focus fire on a different team there too, right? Even through the smokes, you know that Sheila is just going to be blaring right through those bank smokes as we take a look at the second page now. Not Moist finishing off with 5 KP. We saw them hold that northern building positioning over by the south side of the map, but it's just the fact that they weren't really able to get those placement points with all the chaos that we saw happening over to the north side, exiting out of Lava Siphon. Auction and also right behind him with 2 KP.
Yeah, and it's important here in 13th play for SSG, you know, not having the best of games, especially coming off of game number 2, right? Where they had the 9 placement points along with the kills that they picked up, but they're at least continuing to put points on the board. So any gap that might form shouldn't get too big. So the 4 points here should be crucial going into the second half when we move on over to Storm Point.
I want to take a look at the series results now overall. After those first 3 games are done and dusted, Team Falcons still leads the way in this entire lobby with 37 total points. And even with CCE's consistency and being in that top 5 and getting that dub, they finished right behind them with 33 points. But that gap is closing in with Tripods being right behind them with 32.
Yeah, and I like the convention here that we see coming out from Falcons and CCE. Both teams really having to heavily prioritize center zone, especially with our first 2 games going over towards Skyhook, right? So you see that split where it's almost a 50-50 split between placement points and kill points. That's typically what happens when you are forced to play center zone, or if you are a squad that is more characterized as a center zone squad, right? This time around, the zone pulling down to the south was probably one of the more difficult or longer rotates for Falcons to deal with. Getting involved in that really big pileup over at Lava Siphon was just really unfortunate. So they weren't able to build upon the huge head start they had off the first 2 games there, but it was still a good finish.
Great finish, great start, great middle, great job, guys. Vicky, Jamerson, awesome on the cast, and always setting us up with good storylines to talk about. For me, CCE is a team I need to learn and continue to focus on, because I told you about Trev Stacks and this Rampart. I saw it in the Nessie Cup. I've been seeing it now every time on screen. It's solid. It's a good top 5er. And at certain points, put yourself in enough top 5s, you're going to get a win. And that's a great showcase of a new squad coming in to our ALGS Pro League in day 1 and making a splash. That was on their 33rd pick also, by the way. So not a priority draft spot. We'll find out if that really means as much as we might think, or if it really isn't that big of a deal, because we're bringing in our resident pro for our halftime here in North America to give us all the answers on what it's been like adapting to the draft, heading into Split 2, and how their personal journey is going, and alongside how these first 3 games have gone. Let's bring in RK in to join us here on the halftime. Cole, it's great to have you, man, and hope you're doing well.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. You know me, new dad. I've probably lost 1,000 hours of sleep, and just surviving.
Surviving, thriving, sometimes they happen at the same time. Sometimes they do not. And I can understand the new dad stuff. It's tough. I've seen a lot of my good friends go through it. So. Well, speaking of transitioning to Apex I want to ask, like I asked Nasky, who joined us in EMEA, what this time off has been for you, getting back now with Native, having your debut tomorrow, and obviously juggling all of what you've been doing personally, but also, the offseason, the roster adjustments, getting prepped, goals, the new POI draft. What has this kind of downtime meant for you, and what have you put together to be ready heading into tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been interesting. I came out of the last season not really sure if I was going to keep playing in general. Obviously, everyone saw that on Twitter. I never actually officially put out like the word retire or the word quit, because, I just have a love for the game. I knew that I would keep playing it in some capacity. I didn't imagine I would keep competing, because, I'm a new dad, working full time, and just putting the hours into Apex. It's a really big commitment. But if there was one person I would ever come back for, it's my boy Bo. We have a good history, and he gave me an opportunity to come back and play with him. We've been putting in the hours. We picked up a new player, McLovin. I think he's the truth. I think he's tier 2 Apex's best kept secret. He's never been on like a super good team, and he's phenomenal. He makes good decisions. He has a lot of good input. So we've just been putting in a little bit of work. Being his own team in scrims sucks. But as you can see today in the games that we've seen so far, being his own team when the games come to fruition, it's really good and really consistent. So.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, you were talking about how much is on your plate here. Do you feel like there's a bit more pressure now with in terms of preparation leading into these games now with the draft, learning new POIs, learning new rotation paths? What kind of how has that preparation kind of impacted you ultimately here? Are there more hours that you have to put in overall?
Honestly, I'm actually quite comfortable. The one thing that the POI draft has done for us is I've always been, I think a lot of people know this, I haven't ever taken pride of my mechanical skills or individual skills. I've always based my gameplay entirely in fundamentals and macro. And the POI draft really rewards teams for being good consistently with their macro. So it plays a little bit to my favor. Whether we're able to make it work this split or not is to be seen. But the balance between work, child, and Apex is a little bit of a battle, but we're getting through it. It's like working a double shift. There's plenty of people out there in the world that work double shifts. So
you're like a professional Ditto. You're slotting into every role out here, but you're making it work, especially when it comes to your passion about the game. That was definitely one thing I'll never forget when we actually hung out at LAN back at Champs last year. But you know what? Talking about macro and talking about a lot of these adjustments that these teams have had to do with these POI drafts, I want you to help me walk through the circle for these final circles in these last 3 games, because there's a lot to unpack here, especially with that first game and even the third game with CCE winning coming out of Epi. But focusing on game number 1, when we've had won this with 6 KP over by the North Track zone, they wasted no time to rotate here.
Yeah, game one is a good example of just great zone play. If we look at two of these teams, both the team that won Weave and CCE, they were both in the zone relatively early. I believe Weave was in the back railroad tracks from the very start of the game all the way to the very end, securing that win. But CCE making good usage of a Rampart comp, playing the bridge, which is like almost solely playable by a Rampart team early. Sometimes a Watson team can get away with it, but you can't generally just play that spot early without those kinds of comps. Well played.
Yeah, we've seen that before there in the past as well. As we take a look at match number 2 now, when Team Falcons, you know, it's just a matter of time, right? In their POI advantage over by Skyhook West. This circle pulled all the way by Skyhook East for this final circle, and even Space Station making a pretty big trek just to get here with the KP that they had while overlooking the squads right below them.
Yeah, the script writer's getting to work early here with back-to-back Skyhook zones for Team Falcons. But all jokes aside, what an incredible team. You know, this game all started with them bullying a team out of the fourth-story building. They were in the first story, went all the way up to the fourth story, forced them to the bottom and out, and then just executed endgame perfectly.
And for this third match, Arcan, I just have to ask you, is this Rampart a gimmick out here? Like, CCE has just been able to set themselves so nice here.
I do think it's a gimmick, unfortunately, but I love how they play it. Just like I said, game one, this game as well, they played another spot that you can only play with Rampart, which is under this building, early, like underneath, playing in the rocks. Any other team there would just get slaughtered, but with the use of Rampart walls, you create your own artificial cover. It's just another good use of Rampart play in a meta that's maybe not very Rampart friendly. They do it really well. I do think it's a gimmick. We'll see what happens. We'll see the longevity of it.
There was a long time where Bangalore was thought of as a gimmick a bit, and Shiv FPS stayed tried and true with it, and it became a big pick. So while I know that this isn't probably what most of the Pro League will switch to meta-wise, I do know that Trev has just basically been a Rampart main forever. So at this point, it seems like it comes with the territory, and I am a big fan. I think now as Apex expands and people just playing like what works for them, I think sometimes the emulation game, sometimes it hurts you, and it gets you overthinking, and sometimes you just got to be comfortable and play what works for you. And that leads me to a bigger conversation of these drafts and coming up here as we preview where people have selected for the next 3. Just your thought overall, Cole, on the comfort level of this draft system and how you felt going through it yourself. Have there been moments where you felt, oh man, I don't really want to go there? I know you've got a ton of experience. Kind of walk me through what you think some of these teams have gotten. Anybody make out big in this one? Or is it pretty much just tried and true, pretty similar Apex from what you're used to playing, and not too much of a different challenge for you?
I mean, it's definitely not similar for most teams. My team was bullied a bit, so I've played a lot of POIs. That kind of just comes with the territory, but a lot of these teams have played the same POIs for a really long time. So you kind of have 2 strategies here. You can either pick a great POI for a map that you're typically weak on, or you can just pick the best POI for a map that you're typically strong on to try and maximize like the most amount of points.
But try to basically cover your weaknesses by getting the strongest pick on a map that you might normally struggle if you had like a 33rd or a 38th pick, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of roll the dice. You can pick a really strong POI, or you can pick like a middle of the pack POI and just pray that something becomes available when it comes to your pick again. But I think you'll see that a lot of these teams just pick a POI that they're super comfortable with on a map that they're good with. We took the opposite route where we tried to pick a good POI on World's Edge because I am notoriously bad at IGLing on World's Edge. I don't know what it is. I've always been better at Storm Point. But we're going to figure it out this split, hopefully.
I love the strategy, though, and I love that you guys are kind of like what I was saying, sticking to honoring what you do as a team and trying to balance your gameplay around that, not necessarily what is the perfect position for every single other pro. You're playing native style and trying to make sure that you get your strengths to be supported. So good luck with it, man. Thanks so much for sharing all your insight and experience, and we look forward to watching you and talking about how you do tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
All right, man, go get some sleep or not, dad life as it is. One of those crazy things that we get to see is these great conversations of how life and ALGS intersects with each other, because it is such a true thing. These pros are juggling a lot of different things. So when you see them on screen, just know there's a person behind it, and they're probably taking on more than you would imagine. And if you want to see that, maybe get a little bit closer to them and their POVs, not just the overview that Play Apex brings to you, check out Multiview with Faceit. Faceit.com/watch will give you a chance to see all of those POVs, whether tomorrow it's native or whether in EMEA the next week it's going to be, or EMEA tomorrow it's going to be 07. Make sure you can follow all of the pros, see how they IGL, and see if Arcane actually can IGL well on World's Edge, or if it's like you said. Jamerson, take a break. Vicky, Kitty, and I got this one. Great casting, buddy. We'll bring you back for the last 2 games of the set. Thanks so much for everything. Vicky. All right. We are back at it. Big halftime. The pros have gotten a break. They've got some water. We're ready to go.
I'm excited. I mean, especially after hearing RKN share his thoughts, I do want to note something that you said that really stuck with me. You know, there's a person on the other side of the screen, and there's so much that a lot of these pros are juggling all at the same time. And with some of these changes, with the POI draft and everything, that's even more that these teams could take advantage of, actually, and really work into their strengths here as we now move over onto Storm Point. And this is the map that I'm excited to see, because when we have teams like CCE coming out of the woodwork on World's Edge, well, guess what? That team has chosen Command Center on Storm Point, which is so smart because I do believe they run the Valkyrie and Rampart comp. I think the only thing that they swap out is the Loba. So we have to see, take a look on what they're going to end up doing here with that composition to see if they could get the most distance on that Skyward Dive, or even an evac tower if they want to save it on top of that Command Center. But even looking at other squads that have chosen their POIs here for Storm Point.
Storm Point takes me back. It's just a great map. I love that it's introduced different styles. Valkyrie as well. You mentioned that. They went hand in hand with each other for so long, and now we have rarely seen a Valkyrie in our beloved ALGS Pro League. Will that continue? I hope not. It's nice to see some of the unique styles, and again, I am a big fan of people playing what works for them. I'll continue to say that over these weeks, and hopefully we'll continue to see it as now our teams who have done well with Falcons in the lead, CCE right behind them, Tripods as well, rounding out our top 3, take their talents to Storm Point. It's no Miami Beach, Vicky, but hey, it's a change of pace, and there's some water around too.
And make do with what you got, especially with that devastated coast, you know, living off the sticks of CCE.
Oh, yeah.
The squad that we were talking about, they're sticking to the Loba, but what they have done is moved out, I believe it was the Bangalore before, and now have kept the Loba, the Valkyrie, and Rampart. So you know what the game plan is for this squad, obviously, is they're going to try to focus on rotating to a God spot as early as possible, as they have shown already on World's Edge, but even faster considering the distance that they could cross on from Command Center. And we are moving all the way down to the southwest side of this map on top of Barometer.
Now, I love this big overview, so you can find your favorite team, whether it's TSM on that southeastern side near Launchpad, or maybe Tripods who've been doing well on the northwestern side near Northpad. One of the things that makes me get excited about what this POI draft is going to mean are the stats that can come from it. Because I want to know this, because CCE on their 33rd pick, basically you could call it the 33rd least desirable pickup of a spot, got 33 points, and they're second place overall. So how often is it that your first pick map results in more points than your second pick map, and vice versa? What is the average points you score on your first pick map, and what's the average points you score on your second pick map? Do we see a distinct difference between your last picks and those picks that are not prioritized, or does it somehow come out uneven? Is it more about your style, or is it more about we start to see these verifiable numbers of people who are landing at Barometer or, you know, at Northpad actually having higher point percentages no matter who they are across the split? To me, Vicky, that's just stuff I can, my mouth is watering just thinking of all the potential of what we might discover here as this season goes on.
That's what I was talking about at the beginning of the EMEA show. Just so much information that you can now work into depending on the different POIs that some of these teams have taken advantage of, or if it's what RKN said earlier, you know, trying that priority over the map that you feel like your team does lackluster on, while feeling very confident on the other map that you usually have that success. As teams like Team Falcons quick on their rotate here, already trying to get into Barometer successfully, while other squads have called in the evac tower. I believe it was Elevate that are now flying into Barometer. You already have over 7 teams now making their way over here, as 3 more evac towers were called in this map.
You gotta see 3 hostiles detected from Yup. And that just means a fight could be on the way. You know, NRG moving on. It's hard to not think of NRG and Sweet. I'm not gonna lie. That pairing was kind of like TSM Imperial Howl. But it's a new name. It's a new team. And this is a team that deserves to have their name alongside this great organization with a great roster. Reptar, Fun, Nocturnal. It's a redemption tour for them, Vicky. But speaking of Sweet on LG, you know, one of those players, when I first thought Falcons, before Falcons existed, before any of that, and I thought Howl might be moving, you know, the player I thought he might actually be teaming up was Sweet. You know, because they had kind of teased that a little bit. It's something that, you know, maybe ALGS fans will get later on, you know, when they're both close to retiring in their like final, you know, award tour year. But I don't know. I kind of thought that would be interesting. Either way, went with another great mind in Zero.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, at least Howl taking more of a backseat when it comes to that IGL, but it's also something that's gonna take a little bit to shift away from. You can only imagine after doing for so long. As CCE in a terrible spot, though, stuck in the middle between 2 other squads. There's only so much these ant barriers could do. I mean, they do have a little bit of makeshift cover with the rock over to their side, but looking at the squad right above them, who would want to commit to this? Is Zero actually saying it's not even worth it because they're getting shot at now from a distance from the other squads that are on the other side of Barometer.
Nobody wants to continue that fight down below because they'd just be taking the spot from Trev Stacks and CCE, which doesn't seem to be too good, but they're setting up. Falcons on the high ground of Barometer and many teams around them. Nearly 80% of the lobbies already made their way down to the southern side of Storm Point. 20 squads left. And console about to be hit yet again for Falcons just to get even clearer on where that will end up. Just safe on the high ground for now.
As they should, especially looking at where this circle may be pulling next. What's also nice to note, there is a survey beacon on the high ground. We could expect that team to have probably already scanned it for some extra Evo points.
Oh, yeah.
True. Yeah, even with that Evo, rather the respawn beacon that they pinged from a distance, just making sure that they got the pings right, seeing where they want to go next, with Weave being one of the squads out of, what, now 9 teams that have made their way into Barometer.
I like where it sits here as well. Some of the patience in this moment is what is required. It's not really a surprise where the game is going to end up. But now you start the gentle nudge. And you got a little space I like over there. You know, let me see if I can do enough damage to force you away from it. Maybe I'll take over that spot. It's human nature. It's envy. I want a little bit of what I don't have. But in this situation too, I mean, realistically, this is sometimes where the zone ends. We haven't seen where that full scan was. So we don't have the POV from Hal and them who might know if it's going to shift more left. But this is not a bad spot to hold, Vicky. And you got a lot of KP opportunities as well from people coming in from the northwest side as they try to make their way, or from the northeast side as they try to make their way into Barometer.
Good point, actually, with a lot of other squads like Most Hated, TSM, Space Station, now, as you can see with this nice little overhead here. But that circle shift is crazy.
Yeah, wow.
Called it from the beginning here, Rain Day, but it's the fact that all these teams, when they're forced out of Barometer, there is little to no cover to really work with, aside from the bridge that you're going to be sitting ducks in, because you're going to be funneled into one line of sight instead of splitting that fire. That little island over to the side, and Not Moist is going to be in prime position to also harass those other squads that have to rotate from there.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, really a huge shift. What are they going to do? I mean, I would have expected Falcons to have moved at that point. The information most likely was what they had, but at this point, we're going to follow along with SSG. Phony taking a hold of Zainu and Koi under his leadership. Could be one of the most successful teams we will see this split in Apex. Certainly has the potential. They're young, they're talented. They've got LAN experience, both of them now. Koiful, a great representative as a sub in our last LAN. And it really did well, and really, I think, set up the stage to be picked up by SSG. So a lot of good things can unfold from them, and I'm always a fan of Phony. Not just the style, not just the smooth hat and the demeanor, but you know, his acting skills too. He's been in a couple of those SSG promos. You know, the man's multi-talented, not just a great IGL.
And coming in with the smooth criminal line. Okay. Yes,
He
with the
could.
fedora, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, with the fedora in the long hair, I mean, it's possible. He just
Definitely
needs
could
to-
see that. Taking a look at some of these other squads now. Because they're getting shot at from the distance. Anything to try to boost up those Evo shields, especially when you're holding where you think is Final Circle up on the high ground for so long, which is also going to come into play when all these teams see where that next circle is going to shift away. A lot of the squads that have denied themselves the damage and Evo Harvester opportunities to boost those Evo shields as very detrimental on that next rotate.
And where will it pull again? That's another question as well. LG on the top side of it. Laser, Dynasty, the Wope, they throw down their Catalyst wall. See how impactful that is on a map like Stormpoint. I mean, if you want to look at the value of Catalyst, it's right there. Caustic getting shot the entire way probably dies. And Catalyst allows you to at least make this transition. Dynasty goes down, but with the smokes, can they maybe stabilize here? That's going to be the hope. A punch into the corridor to block line of sight, and I think they'll be able to get this res off. Still 20 teams alive. Round 2 about to close, Vicky. Not a team gone down.
So many of these squads too, not only from the north side of Barometer, but also from the east side as well. Falcons most hated, like we saw already, in a lot of trouble. They got shield cells for days here. I'm wondering about the med situation. Look at them trying to pick up any scraps off of the floor, but at least he's got a turbocharger to work with. And Hal also getting beamed, having to back away after popping the Beast of the Hunt, wasting some extra time on that ult to see if they can get other information from the squads that are right next to them.
On the lifeline from Jen Burton as well. I don't know if this was mentioned before, but I certainly wasn't tracking this in the same way. I like the pick. I think Lifeline has kind of cemented herself now as a high-level possibility, and especially on Stormpoint, I think sometimes, you know, we could see that be more of a comfort pick for some, but we'll see if it ends up working for them. Right now, though, the lineup I love is what LG's running. Catalyst, Bangalore, Bloodhound, and let's see if Funks and Sykes, and of course, Sweet.
Yeah, they're holding all of it.
I'm
211. I'm 211.
Let's check out
Wait,
that.
Joe, just look at our back. We need to worry about our storm map. I like this wrap here from the building. I think we need to try to like force. I might just have to play this heady. We're still in a really good spot here. Like, we're chilling.
That's fine.
Still really strong.
As long as we don't get a wrap from this side, okay, Coin? Like, that's our bad wrap.
There's gonna be a bunch of fights happening out here. Please, yeah, I can. I don't think anyone's gonna come from behind. You should probably get a I need to hold this back
right now.
I literally can't, like...
Okay. I think can't hold this player over here, Phony.
Yeah, I can't hold this player. That's fine.
It's a team here,
What's the plan?
This guy's running up the hill. I think they're gonna evac. I'm just gonna go to Zainu.
How many cells do we have? I'm blocking up.
I have 6.
I have
Like cells a lot. Like cells a lot.
I used to a few here. Take 3.
They're running uphill. They're
gonna be 5, 2.
What is 2-5?
What is our potential to like get over here? Is it really like non-existent?
Can we eat it?
We just need to hold our walk up from we can maybe like building had to move armory side and then this can,
I have 2 bats, 13 cells.
we can't do anything though.
I'm 2-5. One dead right here. It's like
I'm 2-5 as well. What do you think if someone lands behind us? Do we just chill? Kind of have to, right?
Yeah, we kind of have
Not a lot of heavy.
They're fighting over there.
You're watching our back.
Yeah. Who's watching back? Who's watching back? I'm hitting armor there.
Well, a lot of conversation as well. I love how the question was literally non-existent in terms of an opportunity. Sometimes you're just not faced with a lot of options. You got to do the best of what you're given.
That may do with what you got, while TSM now, Zap, activating Beast of the Hunt, trying to get a scan, and great time on that wall from the catwall to actually deny any information off of that scan. Trying to wrap around though, TSM just trying to find that last straggler here, trying to get the knock right after that, and now having to reposition themselves. Zap losing out on his shield, now out of this fight for right now, while Rebs and Verhos have moved in, cleaned up shop from inside this building, while other teams now fight off that low ground over by Barometer. Most hated now go out as Complexity lose literally one, and here comes a third party.
They're going to climb up out right now. CCE sitting in with the Loba, Rampart, and the Valkyrie, as we had mentioned on Cobra, will force Complexity out if they take out most hated here. You can see all the spoils of war given to them, so they should be able to reset well, as if they needed more than what the Loba Black Market Boutique would already give it to them. Elevate Gaming on only 6 points. This could be a big one for them, a turnaround if Zach Mazer, Slayer, and Luxford can do something here. They're on the edge of zone. There's a team kind of holding them out, very aware of what they could do. Still a Dark Veil as a possibility. Luxford may just have to make a play. They may have to also give this up as well, or just stay patient. Doesn't seem like they're going to have any pressure from the backside. So this is a possibility to just sit tight until they're forced to make a move.
Not throwing out nades left or right, too. I see that on the feed here as more of these squads are now forced to finally go out into the open. But look at this, Rain Day. Look at where this circle is pulling on top of Moist.
I mean, we should go back to that. I know we're looking at this, but I don't know how that rotation ended up. That's either a straight up God spot or they're dying. But as we take a look at this big POV here, you know, you can see CCE still holding this exact spot. They're safe. Not too much going on here for now, but they have 55 seconds. They'll eventually have to make a move. There's a team holding them out. Cobra, Cap, Trev trying to figure it out how they will make a kind of a swing away. They've got the Valk ult, but I mean, it's a little too risky right here. I don't know if there's a good spot, and they might just lose Trev.
Oh no, Trev now having to back away. He was also isolated, but was able to get a shield swap from one of the deathboxers at their feet. By the way, in all of this, not only is Falcons out, as Energy have now moved in. We saw them in the feed, lighting it up in this entire lobby. But we also saw Not Moist go down too, as Elevate had moved in earlier on before they were eventually taken out by the chaos of Falcons coming in for the third party.
I think when we switched, that was Elevate who went in, they fought, and those 3 teams ended up dying as a result of that. Huge collapse and a huge fight for God spot. And ultimately, it ends up being Tripods, who have had a phenomenal day, playing off the momentum from qualifying for the EWC. They've looked really, really good. 35 points already, and now looking like they're heading into a top 10 in game 4 with a lot of options.
And a lot of damage here too with the Hemlock, and then following up with the charged up Sentinel. Zen telling CCE to sit real quick on that low ground. The ping's coming in. They scan to follow from Yup before they decide to make their rotate, charging up that Sentinel once again. I mean, he's got all the shield cells to work with here. He's got 10 shield cells, 4 shield bats here as he drops all the way down, trying to cut off oxygen on their rotate.
Big time stuff. Yup. Misses with the Sentinel one more time, but I love it. They've still got 5 shield cells. Save 4 for the body armor. Save 1 for the body shots right there. And I love it. Zen gonna go ahead and get back up to full. Yup, in a decent spot. They're on the opposite side of most of the play. LG, Sykes, Funk still alive, and they're gonna push this bridge. It's a big moment. Sweets maybe gotta make a play here. 3 kills, top 8. They didn't even think they could get this far. It was tough to just navigate right now with how congested it's been. But this team on the bridge may be one of their last final bosses that they're gonna have to get through. A swing with the Havoc takes too much damage here, and now from both sides, he's gonna have to shield battery.
And I think to look to their south here too, because it's Tripods that are also right behind them, and EEC who have been taking some shots at the bridge here as LG setting out some nades for Hail Mary to see if they can get that res onto Funk, while also making sure that the team in front of them doesn't just walk up for free.
That's good damage right there. It's about as good as he can do. Nades on one side, Havoc cover on the other side. They get 3 up, but can they do more than that? Sweet knows he needs to get out of dodge. They've already made it now with their life longer than they should have. They're living on borrowed time. A good piercing spikes from Sykes. Who's gonna make the play? That's the question that you gotta ask. Triple take in hand, Volt as well. Sykes another shield battery, but he's running out. It's his last one. No more resources, 17 seconds. Someone's got to make a move.
No wall. They used up both their smokes. Right now, it's on cooldown.
Here it is.
They'll have one for this fight. They got to engage here. This is the moment of truth here. Jumping right on top of the piercing spikes, though. They're taking way too much damage. Sykes goes in for the shield swap, but they're also getting beat from right behind. Noting that, now they're going to be able to try to jump around, but Oxygen take out 2 members of LG as the circle closes in.
No shield battery. Sykes is in trouble. It could just be the end of LG. Maybe he could stay alive just a little bit longer so that he can get a 6th spot, a 5th spot, but no. Sykes is out. LG is gone. It was a valiant effort, but a day late and $1 short. Eternal EC, 7 points in 17th place. A win here would do wonders, probably push him into the top 10 and beyond, but they've got to get up Kochi, as Carter is now providing cover fire with the devotion. Oh my good, and he is devoted. That's a heck of a spray there, and Carter cleans it up. EEC still have a chance.
Oh, and here comes Yup. They take out that last member. I believe it was Zen who tried to slide in. And EEC now trying to approach Space Station while Tripods are going to sandwich Space Station. They take them out here as NRG are in prime position to take this game, Rain Day. Tripods now take care of SSG, and our last 2 squads between NRG and Tripods are left.
It's weird. I think this Rock could win. I've seen this end zone before, and I feel like Tripods, while they have played a great game, can they topple the Giants of NRG back here in Apex. Anmu has a chance to put a period in it, an emphatic ending into what has been a great game from Tripods. They're going to the Esports World Cup. Will they take the win here in game number 2? It is Fun versus Anmu. It's a 1v1 to determine who will take the game. And Anmu just peeking, using the shields, and he's gonna heal up. It's gonna force Fun into a decision. Do I go for it? He's hiding back now, and now Anmu's almost out of damage, and NRG has just enough, and they'll take their first win here in North America on match day 1.
Oh, what a crazy game it was for NRG there. We saw them earlier with Knockdown Hills nades before. I believe they finished off with 6 KP, but Fun, the clutch master himself. Anmu had the high ground, but he gave up the knockdown shields. Are you kidding me? The patience pays off for NRG.
Yeah, he had a lot of patience. You could tell. Sometimes that, I don't know, that advantage that you've got, you just start to fight like you are constantly at an advantage. But the second that you push a little bit farther, well, the situation is shifted. And you're right, playing outside of those knockdown shields, the only thing he had was to be able to kill Fun with that first Havoc spray. Once he had to reload or switch weapons, it was over, and you could see it right there. Fun, patient as ever. What a great start to the day in Split 2 for NRG, back in Apex, and Xset formerly back with a win in winning ways. It's got to feel good for those guys.
Absolutely, especially with how passionate they are. I would say even Nocturnal as an IGL, we've talked about Hotsick a little bit, but he's one of those players that is very emotionally driven. So a win like this could not only snowball in a positive way for the squad, but that boosts up morale and momentum to really showcase what these changes have done for a team like NRG.
It's kind of like one of those main character qualities, right? There's always these animes where you have a character who, like, you know, is a good, he can hang around. He's doing his thing. He's not maybe the top hero. It's definitely not the worst hero, but he's got this power that if someone pisses him off in the right way, like, he's unstoppable. Everyone just has to get out of the way. He will win any single fight, and that's a main character type thing. Sometimes the emotionality of Nocturnal has hurt him in the past when they have had bad starts to lands or bad starts to splits, and they haven't been able to get out of it. But in the same vein, when they are feeling good and they have that positivity, it is incredible what they're able to do. And they're probably one of the most dangerous teams in ALGS history when they are playing with that confidence. We'll see if they can keep it up. I certainly think that this is a new look for not only Nocturnal and Fun and Reptar, but NRG as well, as they take the W here in first place. Tripods right behind, not for the lack of try.
I mean, another top 3 finish out here for Tripods too. Let's not forget that they got, I believe, 3rd place in game number 3 too. So they've been able to stay consistent. They also got top 3 in game 1 actually. So 2 top 3 finishes on World's Edge, and now a 2nd place finish here for our first game on Storm Point. And when we highlight consistency, this is the type of thing that we look for here as they finish with 4 KP. I mean, even looking all the way down to Yup, we saw those Senti shots coming out from them. That's 6 KP, as well as Oxygen Esports coming in with another 6 themselves.
Falcons have been so impressive to me. I know I keep mentioning them. It's hard not to, but one of the reasons why is even when they're 10th place, even when they're not getting the results from a placement standpoint, they've got so many kills that they're getting 8 points, 9 points, 6 points. And with that win, it's going to be hard to stop them and get ahead, especially as we move in to page 2 of our results. You can see that teams right here who might have had a chance, TSM, who were in that final fray in game 2, Elevate Gaming, who have been around but not able to push past probably a 10-point finish yet. Complexity, they had a nice game 2 as well. They have had now a little bit slower of these days. Biggest thing, our bottom 5, usually there's a kill in there, Vicky. No kills at all in our bottom 5 to close it out. All zeros for our bottom 5 teams.
Honestly, it was just chaos and barometer too, with the amount of teams that were coexisting there. As we now take a look at the series results after our 4th game. Talk about Falcons. They stay up on top, but Tripods evenly matching them with 45 points. And for not so big of a gap is CCE right behind him with 39 points here too.
And it's been, like it's been a while since we've really highlighted Falcons as they need to talk about team from their play. There's been Tripod, CCE, NRG winning that game as well. LG was in the mix there. But again, it's that consistency. The 25 kills topping the leaderboard as well. Big shout out to Tripods, who are also topping the leaderboard in terms of placement. So two great performances at the very start of it all. And it means that we've got ourselves a showdown, ladies and gentlemen. We have only got 2 games left, and we'll determine our winners in match day number 1 in split 2. So you know what you need to do? Not really go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Game number 4 is in the books with a very intense ending to that game alone in a 1v1 here, Jamerson. But game 5, I can't wait to see what's in store for. First Challenger Circuit will be happening June 8th through the 10th, where registration will be closing on June 5th. So make sure to get ahead of the curve. And if you so happen to be busy that week or weekend, you can look at Challenger Circuit number 2 happening on June 22nd through the 24th. You guys, make sure to write down all these dates because registration will close for that one on June 19th. For the third one, it will close between June 24th through the 17th for July, actually. So that's a pretty big gap for the registration to be open, as well as that 4th Challenger Circuit for your last chance to register between July 1st through July 24th. Oh, sweet. All right, well, we get everything figured out there, and you guys get to take a look at the Challenger Circuit link. Again, if you think you're better than any of these pros and you really want to show up for Pro League, make sure you guys sign up for the Challenger Circuit, because once again, there are a lot of these squads, that's where they were able to make it really through. As we take a look at the 1v1 that we saw in that last game, because we mentioned it jumping into the very start of this block here before jumping into game 5, and we have to replay it again because patience really wore off here as NRG Fun had the low ground. The high ground advantage went in favor for Omnu here, and he didn't heal right away either too. You see Fun had a little bit of the overhealth on top of that with the actual knockdown shields. Like, you actually see my reaction. All right, production, I get it. I actually freaked out, honestly, because I thought to myself, well, you have high ground advantage here as long as you play it slow and safe. You're not fully up to health compared to what we saw from Fun, but he did not play around those knockdown shields, and that's instead what we saw from the other side as NRG came out on top. That was a really big win for them too, because not only is NRG formerly XSET now with a change up on their squad and their team name, but we talked about it a little bit, Rainday and I, on how this squad, specifically Nocturnal with his IGL calls, could sometimes be influenced emotionally, and when you take a dub like that, this squad could absolutely roll lobby. So we have to see how they end up working together with that while we also wait for our 5th game, guys. It's been a good time as we also wait out on Jamerson to come right back. But trying to see here with our 5th match coming in, we got Stormpoint obviously to round off match number 5 before we close out the day, match 6 with Stormpoint. That's how it's always been here in the ALGS, our first 3 games being on World's Edge before diving into Stormpoint. But we get to see how this has influenced so many other squads and the POI draft that these teams have had to work with and what that means for the different legend compositions. Cough. CCE with the Valkyrie still repping the Rampart on top of it to get into a better spot. But a lot of the squads in the last game unfortunately did not predict that circle right. There was only, what, 2 to 3 teams that were able to call out that final circle on the outskirts of Cenote. NRG being one of those squads, Not Moist being another team that was playing Alf on the southern building on the outskirts of Cenote. We have to see how this game in the circle that will be taking us, how that's going to be influenced on some of the rotates here as match number 5, guys. We got the solo casting from Vicky herself. All right, getting started here. It looks like we're going to have a much more centralized zone as each of our legends are going to be able to loot it from their POIs here. Also, just got to give a shout out to the POI draft. I feel like it's really shake things up here for the ALGS. And I do believe Jamerson actually has been able to fix some of his audio issues. Welcome back, Jamerson.
I didn't do anything. Production is the one that fixed whatever I might have messed up. I have no idea what happened there, but thank you so much for taking all of that aggro. Vicky, you did an amazing job.
I got you.
It's game number 5, and we don't have an indication quite yet about where this ring is pulling, but there are indicators. Maybe this one goes up north side. Command center, never mind. It's a Cedo station with a little bit of Jurassic Park in there for our 2nd zone.
Oh man, I was thinking, I mean, we saw the circle. We knew that it would probably pull more towards that central side, and this is going to benefit the likes of NRG all over again. We saw how quick they were on their rotate when they decided to go towards the south side of the map. They also have a ring console for them to work with over by Cascade Falls, so not too surprised if they're already going to get ahead of the curve as we see many more of these other teams now try to get through to Cedo. Ape Gang do land here while Weave already on their quick rotate outside of Jurassic have a ring console themselves, so they already know where this next circle is going to be pulling.
Yeah, teams though taking their time right now. This is the typical timing for most teams to start moving out here, but on the edges, those teams are going to slow things down quite a bit. Probably move out on zone close proper here. But for Weave, they definitely want to try and play center zone at this spot. They've been doing an amazing job of it. I kind of want to see the fuse back for Shinny, but we saw after what was it, game number 1, things didn't quite go their way with that fuse. So definitely understand the pickup of the Bangalore for them ultimately here, as we do see that evac tower being utilized now, pushing up through the river centers. Ape King is trying to get aggressive here, smokes down, even utilizing some of those nades to create a little bit more space for themselves. And it looks like they will be able to get to the top of this hill and possibly disengage off of this fight.
Oh man, but they are getting beams. Look at them matrixing right through the bullets, except the same can't be said about Arc and Bursty. Now the last one alive, calling it quits and immediately jumping out of all that craziness as NRG are out for blood. Remember what we talked about before, this is a team that definitely rolls with the momentum and they are out for blood.
And speaking of momentum, you have to remember, we talked loads about tripods, of course, securing their spot. But the other team of the 2 positions available for EWC, well, it's this squad right here, NRG. I was able to watch it live on stream, and man, were the emotions flowing for them. And, you know, both of these teams face a similar position. Both of them missed out on land. They know what it feels like to miss out. This time around, though, getting that qualification for both of them was a huge momentum shift, and I think for NRG, like you said, who do sometimes play off of the emotion, this is where they can turn things around.
Ping's coming in from Oxygen as LG, right on the other side of wall, looking to maybe try to get involved here because there is a beacon that they're trying to fight for, not only for the information, but for the extra Evo Shield charge. A CCE, Cap having to back away, knowing that there is a team right inside, but they were able to get a knock onto Presley originally here. Playing off this dome building, though, especially where the circle's going to be pulling, is going to be just a green light for third parties to move in, and that's exactly what's happening from behind.
Ooh, Cobra gets grounded there, but it's Trev who falls to the floor first. EEC coming around with the flank, the 30-30, the long-range weapon that he needed to take them out. NRG looked to come in for the third party as well, but they are forced back, and unfortunately for CCE, who I think quickly became fan favorites after our first 3 games there on World's Edge, are having a difficult go of things here on Stormpoint.
Whoa. Look at Trips. Literally one tried to back away. Jumps off from that evac tower as Hal also looking to clean up any easy KP that they could get. Scan for scan, though, as he backs away, gets the information that he needs, but it's about repositioning after you utilize that scan, so that way they don't predict where you want to approach them. NRG on this slight high ground, though, popping the Beast of the Hunt. Still involved in this fight over to that south side of Cascade, but it's about keeping up this pressure as NRG are looking at the team right below them. I believe it's going to be SKD.
Yeah, a lot of angles that they have to worry about. Maybe some slow rotates from the north. LG Sykes on his last legs, a double swing in. With that spray down, they will get knocked out, unfortunately. But it's Oxygen Esports finding themselves with a nice 3 kill point opportunity, putting them into 9th place now with 22 points overall. And also, just fighting this fight here on the wall side. We'll see if they can really slow play it now. Getting that big fight win, having the rotates to pick up some additional Evo caches, or Evo harvesters, excuse me. But let's talk about Falcons picking up the kills here. Hal's got to be careful, try to climb back up, but he does have coverage to work with. Zero is there as well. And of course, Jen Burton, ever the anchor for the squad. He's been picking up multiple different legends throughout this series so far. And this time he is on that catalyst, but I believe he was playing that lifeline in the last game.
Oh man, Jen was also just doing such a good job at giving the team right behind them Elevate that has now made an appearance, some suppressed fire, just so that way Hal could try to reset without feeling pressure to get out of his position. Saw the cat wall that was put up here too, as Elevate now looking behind them to figure out where they want to rotate, because they have the next ring information too, so they know they want to get deeper into this next circle, but it's about the amount of teams that are already over here by Cedo.
Yeah, they do have a few teams nearby, not Moist, along with one more. E8, they like to be aggressive here, especially in the mid game. So I think if they find, if they can force these 2 teams to fight, they will come in for the third party as soon as the trades happen. They have to be a little bit wary of their back. They've got multiple teams coming in. Falcons, though, are able to reestablish themselves, find themselves in the waterfall side as we take a better look at this next zone. If we can bring up the map, it would be huge. Yeah, there it is. TSM in a beautiful spot as it pulls on over towards Jurassic. Most hated in position, take a building, but it's Elevate now looking to gatekeep a lot of these teams that will be funneling in from that northwest side.
Oh my god, and then TSM also with that ring beacon that's right there alongside them, having information is gonna be huge here as the nades get sent out from Elevate, knowing that they've cornered Falcons. Just waiting to see as the Beast of the Hunt has been activated, but there's still another team on the other side of Falcons. So if they try to overextend, not only could they get third party by a team like TSM or Most Hated, who maybe want to look a little bit to get extra aggressive for some KP, but they also have to worry about Not Moist, who are right on the other side of Falcons.
And that was a great call to just go ahead and back away. We don't need an angle on this anymore. There are just too many teams, too many variables that we have to worry about. We can play a much safer one on top of this hill because we also have to worry about their back. Being closer to that fence line will work to their benefit. You even see that they were able to bring over the Trident here to provide a little bit of extra coverage, even though they've got all those rocks. Having that Trident there will prove valuable. Right now, though, TSM have been lurking behind E8 this entire time. They might try to find an opening here. We'll see. Zap, though, gives up the game, the scan down onto E8, and they are aware that their back is vulnerable.
That's why they're backing away by the fence line here. Still with some shots from TSM. They don't want to give up too much space because other teams could start rotating from behind them where they originally came from by that ring console that you see. Space Station, I know, maybe looking to see if they could inch away from here or if they want to rotate instead through the command center side of the north side of Jurassic Park. While waiting in the side of this corner and E8 try to gatekeep the other teams coming out of Cedo, these squads know that they do not have to funnel outside of Cedo, which is going to be the bloodbath that we could expect. As the evac tower has been called in from Space Station, I like this choice. They backtracked so that way they saw these buildings were open, so they said, why not? We're going to be able to set up here, but they don't have a control legend as the only thing, unless you want to consider the Fuse to create all that space for you. Not really expecting some of these squads to try to force their way in here.
Yeah, I wonder if they were able to hit a survey beacon and realize which buildings are free. Because, again, there are so many teams right now on the northwest side, teams that just don't have that information. Tripods will try and get it for themselves here to see what is the best spot. But it's still up in the air unless you get the actual map scan. I don't think you can really glean too much off of the survey beacon.
He's seeing where everybody else is in the meantime, especially with that Bloodhound that you're working with. While Tripods have a little bit of both, right? They got the Circle Beacon and the Survey Beacon with the Caustic and the Bloodhound. They called in the evac. You already see the paints coming into exactly where they want to land, closing in that gap from the high ground. Nobody else coming in from behind them as the circle closes in. But if they do wrap around here, the only team that they really have to worry about on the edge of the circle is going to be most hated. But this is a smart rotate from Tripods because there's no other squad coming in from the east side here.
Yeah, it does look like they were able to get both scans. I didn't see if they were able to get the recon scan itself, but they were. So very similar situation to SSG. They note that, hey, this is where the ring is pulling. But now we also have the information about what buildings are free. Of course, there is a timer on that one with the man scan. You've only got 30 seconds really to utilize that information and make the best play off of it, and they definitely are putting themselves on the slow side of the zone here on the eastern edge, while they do have to worry a little bit about teams coming in from behind them. That's a future problem, right? Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes down the line, but for the next 2-3 minutes they are absolutely safe. So I love this play coming out from them. They are already on the top of the leaderboard here. They just want to make sure they have a consistent game number 5 going into game number 6 to really put the kibosh on the day.
Especially when these game 5s is where a lot of these squads say where they're standing in the overall standings here and what they have to do, whether it be a kill heavy game for them or if they want to just strictly play for positioning, and depending on the legend compositions that they want to bring out here. As you can see, this nice little overhead, exactly where TSM, Elevate, and where Space Station had called out here too. And that's what Space Station, who had taken the evac tower to get into this exact building. Elevate maybe looking to see if they could try to shimmy shade their way back in there, but TSM could just take open range on a lot of these squads while knowing that their back is covered with the rock right there.
That creates an opening for Falcons to move up and posture a little bit more, get a bit aggressive on that fence line. Or not Moist all the way down here to the south. They are currently getting gate kept by Most Hated. They've got multiple tridents to work with, but the issue is they are starting to run out of meds. That's the last syringe for Waltzy, and that was also the last med kit.
I'm gonna have the 6 out here, especially with how this next circle is going to look in the next 20 seconds. We've actually playing on the edge to try to funnel a lot of these kills in their direction. See some shots being taken. I mean, they need it when they're rocking still all full blue evos, while Moist from the skies finally find themselves a nice little spot where they're able to scan Most Hated right behind them.
And they still need to worry about, of course, their back, but now they don't have the same kind of pressure on the zone. The big problem is, of course, going to be their economy overall. We'll see if there's extra white meds tossed around. Most Hated are keeping an eye on them. They know they could be vulnerable. They might have been able to bleed them dry in terms of economy, and they have to keep that in the back of their minds if they want to try and make an aggressive push. But for right now, it's a lot of posturing. For complexity, though, they're trying to rotate in with this zone right now. And with a decent scan, they have a lot of their front cleared. But I don't know if they really want to engage on this. You got the, I believe, the Rolling Thunder coming down for Monsoon. I think they're just trying to play a bit more opportunistic, pick up a few kills in this scramble, in this rotate out from a lot of the squads, but they still have to worry about the rotation forward.
And with the blue evos too, I mean, they have the catwall to work with for right now, but we've already knowing where to expect. But then other teams are flying in right above them, taking to the skies. They are able to get a knock, and then looking like chameleons, looking in the opposite direction. They have to watch their backs. There's Team Falcons now trying to put in some suppressed fire as the catwall has now been caught up. I mean, a little short to say. I mean, I don't think that's what he wanted there. I think he wanted to get it on the high ground. They do find another kill while they're at it. Complexity get eliminated in your feeds. 16 squads left, and all these teams are gonna now collapse on each other here on this north side.
Huge opportunity for Falcons now. They've got multiple teams injured right below them, but with that scan, Zero will back away. There's no real issue. He does get nuked down to the low ground here, into the crosshairs of Riley, who ends up taking him out, but Jen Burton is there to cover at the very least. They're stuck behind that supply bin, and they will be able to get that rest, but man, what a nade that caught Zero off by surprise there. They do recover him, and they have plenty of time to reset. It's imperative for Imperial Hal to maintain this anchor position up top right now.
Wait, these sky nades are actually crazy. I mean, it didn't knock Jen, and Zero was able to get out, but there was just a sky nade out of nowhere, and Jen was so incredibly low. While there's still a team behind them, they get the scan. Luckily for Falcons, that squad did not try to overextend. Meanwhile, everything that we were expecting, Skidmark looking at board, EEC trying to get out as Weave, also a solo here. 14 squads left. Shuby gets a shield swap. He takes the hip fire shots, but he cannot clutch out. Skidmarks get eliminated, and now it is the Edgers who have taken control over this building. But for how long before that next circle closes in, where all these teams are about to fall to that circle in the next 10 seconds?
And Bino left in a 1v3 here, almost gave them the workaround there, but he escapes for now. MJ is on the hunt. Board haven't had the greatest of days, but a small little momentum shift here could be huge for them as they chase down the final member of the Edgers. Board, though, might get baited into this one. There it is. It's EEC to finish off Hambino. We're now down to 11 squads, 32 players remaining. Falcons on an amazing run here in game number 5. 5 KP for them with an opportunity for a little bit more here on the zone closing. It's Board boxed out on the side. They do end up cleaning up a few more kills here, and a nice scan for Falcons.
Oh, a huge nade also in the feed, by the way, from Space Station, as Falcons now trying to survive. Zero gets taken out. Cowl for Cowl, but a little too late. They still found Zero, and it is TSM versus Falcons. Hal is the only one alive here on the other side, while TSM with the catwalk walk away. But somehow, Falcons is still alive, and now it is only Zap from TSM.
Moist find an angle as TSM try to get aggressive there. I think it was the G7 Scout to take out one, and it was a great opportunity for TSM. It was just very unfortunate that they got looked at by Moist. Yeah, you can see them pushing up, and so that gives a moment of reprieve for Falcons here as they try to reset. But 3-man of Moist on the other side of the fence now, looking to get aggressive. Walty has to be a bit careful. He's on the wrong side of that fence right now. As we go back on over to the center of the zone, it's OXG Oxygen versus SSG right underneath them.
Let's jump into it. Listen in with Oxygen as they have the high ground before the third party comes in from right behind.
They're going up, they're going up. There's a few teams. You got yeah, I have no.
We just swing out the side. Do we have scan? He's getting fired on height. Is he on the sniper tower? Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah, they're getting shit on height.
He's getting fired. He jumped. I'm gonna scan.
Careful, careful, careful.
Taking smoking right wall soon.
They're mudding.
Can we swing the right? Looking right.
I'm batting. I'm batting.
I don't see anything right.
They might push me inside.
Grenade shot on our back. Yeah. I'm good.
Keep grabbing these two doors.
Yeah.
They have to make a move here.
I'm scanning too. I think swinging out right's really good.
Okay. Now? I have no smokes.
Yeah, you'll have to smoke our back when we do it. Are you gonna get it soon?
No smokes. I have one.
I'm batting. I'm gonna throw a bit, Nate.
I have no more nades. They pop dog.
60 on the nade.
Did we swing now? I think we tried to swing. Maybe not.
Yeah, I think we did. Right. Come.
I'm swinging right.
I see nothing. We can back up. Almost cracked one. Show guys.
I can't.
You shot my ass, bro. I checked the door.
I'm batting.
I don't have any bats.
They might kick this door.
I have no bats either. Might kidding.
But the cat barricading the doors and a dream. There were one, and they survive resetting with those meds, as well as other squads now just looking at them. Space Station on the other side of their building, Elevate playing by the edge, but we have our last remaining squads with Elevate, Falcons, Not Moist, Space Station, and Oxygen.
Yeah, Moist saving Falcons hide once, and now they're getting a little bit aggressive on them. Here's the push, though, from SSG. Gets absolutely shut down. E8, it's Zach Mazer. I was able to find a few kills there. That's Zainu going down now as E8 playing it out as a 2-man, I believe. Falcons 2-man as well, not able to get their third back on in quite yet. Elevate though, trying to get inside the building right now, but the Catalyst door is slowing things down immensely, and Vayne is able to choose that timing to peek on out. E8 are gone.
How many times do we have to teach you a lesson, Oxygen says? I mean, for Space Station's like priority in their position, they really had no other choice but to try to forcibly send it, as Not Moist also had them in their line of sight, but then Elevate also doing the same thing, getting taken down in the same way that we saw Space Station. You can't brute force your way through that barricaded door here, especially when other teams are looking at you, as we are now down to our last 3 squads, Falcons, Not Moist, and Oxygen, to see how this final circle closes in on them.
Oh man, I feel like Oxygen might be the only team that actually have economy to work with, especially when you connect with a Kraber shot like that. Falcons are out. We're down to our final 3v3. Beast of the Hunt is gonna get popped by Vayne, as now he swings in wide from the right-hand side. Moist on the other side are trying to play small here, wait this one out. If they can delay it, we do have the Rolling Thunder forcing them back. Vayne climbs up the wall, has gone through to split them up. The bifurcation might not quite work here, but they will push in from the right-hand side. Frags with the wide swing here, connects on some damage, but it's not crucial quite yet as the slide in from Frax. No one has gone down from either side quite yet, but it's Oxygen with all the aggression. They find 2, and there is the final one. OXG clean up game number 5 here for North America.
Another prime example of patience paying off. That is Oxygen that held inside that building until that final circle started closing. A team that lands, I believe, over by Trident, and now being able to get that quick rotate, being able to hold that spot. But most importantly, the Catalyst barricading the doors is what denied 2 different team pushes, so that way they could be safe and reset in there.
Yeah, it seemed like a little bit of a honey trap, because all of those teams that decided to go center zone early on into Jurassic, they weren't able to replenish their econ. So having those kills come their way definitely worked out in their favor. They had the armor advantage, they had the HP advantage, they had, of course, the ammo advantage. We saw that they were down to the last mag. They were handing out, pulling out their pockets to try and help, I think, Walty get some additional mags for his Havoc at the end there. So we were looking at 2 different teams in 2 different circumstances. One who were struggling in every regard, and the other team that had, well, they even had a Kraber to finish things all out. So it was an amazing finish for OXG. We're seeing how important the macro game has become here, especially with the new POI draft, and I love seeing our top IGLs really getting rewarded for that.
And we can expect things to also be really shaky at the start of a split like this, with so many roster changes on top of the POI draft. A lot of these teams are trying to figure out what to prioritize, whether it be their rotate, their legend composition, where they feel way more comfortable here on top of that. And Oxygen, though, came in swinging, specifically Vayne. I mean, you blinked and you may have missed Falcons absolutely getting deleted after the follow-up on that Kraber.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful thing to see, but it was such an easy shot to line up. I'm not taking away from, you know, him connecting with it, but you drop down from height, you're staggered, and you're just kind of standing there, and you don't really know if there's a Kraber on the other side, but as soon as you hear it, I mean, your brain doesn't even have enough time to comprehend what happened to you. So yeah, I had to take a moment to catch up on that one, but Oxygen with a huge game there in game number 5, 12 kills for them. That's 24 overall in game number 1. Not Moist doing a great job as well. They weren't able to capitalize on a lot of the moments that they had playing on that western side. They only end up picking up 2 kills, but man, Team Falcons, it's what we've been seeing out of them all day long. They're not always the highest in terms of placements, but they are finding their kills.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they are still consistently within at least, what, that top 5 here. So now with that and with the KP that they've been able to accrue, I wouldn't even be surprised if they're still leading the overall standings as we take a look at the second page from that game 5 results. I mean, this is the squads that were stuck by Cedo, I would say. They were not only stuck, but then you saw how so many other teams on the edge of that circle knew that they weren't going to be able to get a free rotate into that circle. They knew that teams were probably going to gatekeep from the north side, entering through that vault, even rotating through the side where we saw the fight go down with Falcons originally. And teams like EEC finish off with 4 KP, and so is the Edgers.
Yeah, this map in particular, or this zone in particular, really did highlight the strength of the third zone ring scan because we saw so many teams ring number 1 getting their way on over to Cedo Station, and then of course getting punished for that. But for the teams that were a bit more patient, that were able to play further out on the edges, get the rings on their way on in, they were able to utilize that information extremely well, put themselves in the power positions inside of Jurassic, and you can see that's the result for OXG.
Oh, and with the series results too, that was a huge game for Oxygen, because not only did they get that dub in that KP, but look at them. They have now skyrocketed to 4th place in the overall series right now, right behind Space Station with 45 points. A little bit close, I would honestly say, all the way from Space Station, all the way down to, I mean, I would even say to CCE out here with 39 points, while Falcons lead the pack with 62 points with a slight gap between themselves and Tripods.
Yeah, for those teams down there, CCE, NRG, what they really need is the top 2 teams to kind of fumble in that final game, get that big old donut hole. Otherwise, Falcons, with just a few kills here or there, with a few placement points here or there, could be able to just secure first place on the day.
Oh man, it's been a crazy series of games here, but with 5 games down, there is 1 more game to go, and that's going to come to you on the other side of this break. You don't want to miss the action here in North America. Everybody to the ALGS with a disgusting ring pull for game number 5. We still got 1 more game to go here, Jamerson, as we move right back over onto Storm Point.
Yeah, and honestly, it's been an amazing day. We were able to cover all of EMEA, and now it's the conclusion of North America, and it has definitely treated us. A lot of questions that we had at the beginning of the day, especially when it came to quote unquote the super team, and right now they are living up to expectations. So I really want to see them try, maybe finish things off strong, get another W, but their consistency cannot be understated.
Absolutely. I mean, even if they just somehow fumble in this last game, they are still going to be within the top 2, maybe even top 3, regardless for this first day. So great show up here from this team, as once again, we get this nice little flyby of where our squads are going to be landing after the POI draft.
Yeah, so we've had 2 southern-ish zones so far here on Storm Point, right? Going over towards Barometer area to the western edge of Barometer, and then of course ending there in more centralized in Jurassic Park. So for Falcons, they've been able to really utilize that priority on the zone, and honestly have been doing that so well all day long. Again, the scriptwriters couldn't be any more biased at this point. We had what, 2 northern zones for them when we were on World's Edge as well, 2 zones ending on opposite ends of Skyhook respectively, but still.
We can't make this up. We got to go back to the lab and figure out who's typing this stuff up, because that is actually insane here, as we get to see our final squads in this lobby get ready to load up. What I have really enjoyed, Jamerson, has been different specific teams have been running legend compositions that they feel pretty comfortable on. And I mean, we got to shout them out. CCE really putting on a performance. While more of these teams, though, we've been seeing the Catalyst make a comeback. I've been seeing it since scrims, but now being able to see it play out in Pro League, we could talk about how important it's been to have that Catalyst and the Bangalore side by side, because the Catalyst blocking those scans that so many Bloodhounds in this lobby are going to be trying to go for when it comes to trying to engage in a fight.
Yeah, and it's not just the utility in the middle of a fight, but it's also the utility on the rotates, right? There have been a lot of teams that have been picking up more and more snipers. We're seeing sentinels in play, we're seeing triple takes in play. So being able to utilize that wall for that coverage as you're making the cross proves valuable as well. But this is the squad who had an amazing win there in game number 5. 24 points for them to now basically have the top 3 within their grasp. If they have another great game, that's going to be Oxygen Esports.
Oxygen coming through with a huge Game 5 win, double-digit KP here. Saying that this circle will be pulling over to that north side. Oxygen are going to be thriving off of this. Let's see how they're going to be able to play this, especially having the survey beacon right there to see where other teams may want to rotate to. It may not be the circle beacon here, but it's still finding out that information from the squads that are going to be able to rotate quick.
Yeah, for Oxygen, they have multiple ways to play this. There's always, of course, the chance that this maybe goes into checkpoint, but you're fully expecting this one, I think, for most teams. This one to continue to pull up to that north side. The fact that they are over there on the eastern edge of North Pad means that they have the priority to basically play off of Godrock outside of the Ant Valley, right? And so they are set up for success. Now, the big question is going to be, how does their economy look, right? Not having the additional looting path on the rotate might punish them, but we'll see if they can play small enough, possibly not to draw too much attention their way. Instead of playing Godrock, it looks like they might opt to try and play inside instead, and that does make sense, especially when you consider the legend compositions.
And the lackluster loot that they also are working with by the Trident here as fun. Getting shot from a distance. Gonna be able to try to heal up in time, while NRG already quick on their rotate over to that north side where Oxygen have tried to get to the survey beacon. As we saw earlier, Aiden was zooming around on that Trident, but so many other teams like EEC have already taken control over that building after taking an evac tower.
Yeah, the small engagement there, that distraction coming out from EEC actually allows NRG to push through, and they're going to go for Godrock. I mean, this is exactly what I expected teams to try and focus on. NRG, because of that, will be able to get this spot for free.
All right, we'll absolutely take those, especially by those rocks, just to make sure that their backs are cleared. We could expect so many other teams to try to take a similar rotate, though, and this is why these squads are trying to get ahead of the curve, as Chase literally getting Chaser. He gets the scan, but he sees they completely swing on him, and in a 1-2, he is gone. As well as Nocturnal. It's a nice little trader that they could play off of after the catwall has been called in, but maybe a little expensive, but just to make sure that other teams don't come in like this one.
NRG now might be in a spot of trouble, but they back themselves into a corner. Now the squad mates here looking to show up to try and help out. Ooh, the Arcstars sneaking their way on in, doing some chip damage here. Nice little scan, but they need to go for a wide swing. It's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange, and now it's all down to Fun with 1 HP. NRG were not expecting this amount of pressure here so early on. And unfortunately, it was that knock that made it very difficult for them to try and reset. They're getting sniped out from the western side as well. NRG, they don't have a wall to really try and get this reset, but we've got multiple fights taking place right now. This might be that small shift in space for them, but no, they will get cleaned up. NRG are out.
You know they were clenching seeing that charge rifle, while Weaver now weaving around the rock here. Sheeny, though, on the other side of the high ground rock, gets beamed in the split fire, only leaving one of the rings left here. Just leaving the cap, but shooting at the spiders so that way they can help him out at the very least, because they are trying to heal up. They take care of Ape Gang, and he comes in clutch once again. Hopefully the spiders don't put in some extra pressure. He went for the shield top, is now able to get the res.
so much fighting taking place over these checkpoints right now. SKD, the team that now have taken over Godrock, they will go ahead and slide down. You can see drop anchoring smack dab in the middle there for the squad. Do have knocked as well. Just looking over this loot now, man, what a series of events. This is one of the faster games that we've had so far. A lot of our games have gone down to zone 2, zone 3 with about 20 teams alive, but this is the first time so far today for North America. We're already at 18 squads with round 1 still closing.
Probably the fastest we've probably seen. Taking some shots from distance with the Hemlock. He's got my favorite scope on that weapon 3 times now before sliding down. Maybe to pop some of these shield cells. Something that we saw from NRG is that they went for a quick rotate, so they were denied a lot of meds and loot in general, so they didn't have any bats to fully quickly heal up. Well, NGNL, though, with their slow rotate, are going to be able to try to press right behind this team. Maybe see if they have a third-party opportunity while going uphill.
Yeah, typically with that position that NRG tried to take, I mean, you do have to be wary of the ants, essentially, and rotates coming through that ant, but so early on, you should be able to sneak a few rounds of ants there and, you know, supplement your econ that way. They just never had the time to do so, unfortunately. NGNL are trying to play off of tempo here. Wave pushing forward, smoke down now as they try to get on top of this team. There it is. That's going to be Presley to fall.
NGNL with the quick knock and the finisher. And while they do get the extra loot that they need, we know that the Edgers are already taking uphill. They're already trying to rotate out of this for what's left of them. And Weave has now entered the fray to try to see if they have an opportunity to go through that next choke that we saw NGNL at. That's Complexity. Also with Kimchi losing out on his shield early. Needs some suppressed fire from Monsoon himself and the famous Sentinel that he's always having.
Yeah, definitely helped, I think, in this meta in terms of weapons. Even though we see Havoc Volts aplenty, I love that we do see out of a lot of our squads now, and particularly Monsoon, the Sentinels, the Wingmans, just a little bit of variance in terms of gunplay.
But can another player do it as good as Monsoon when it comes to that Sentinel? Especially with the 6 times. I mean, we've interviewed him in the past, and he says that the 6 times and the 4x8 are 2 of his favorite scopes on the Sentinel. As we look at squads like Not Moist, team that also likes to go on their own side quests with these evil harvesters, looking to approach a team over here by Mill. The scan for scan here is they're going to be able to pop the med kit, and the fights don't stop happening. Jamerson, now NGNL looking to see if they can try to engage on the outskirts of wall for what looks to be what's left of Edgers.
Yeah, it's been the never-ending fight over here on the wall, say south side wall, as it looks like they are getting closer and closer to getting on top of Edgers, but I don't think they were ready for LG to possibly cut them off. Trips taking a lot of damage there, but he will get to safety, and Rails will be able to anchor for him as they go ahead and reset for themselves. So unfortunately, that distraction allows the Edgers to survive for now, back away. There's plenty of time if he was able to pick up banners to try and get the respawns in. Taking a better look at the zone, you can see, yeah, half of our teams have essentially consigned themselves to that northern pole of the zone. We have a few teams, I think, that might have just rotated in to checkpoint. I don't think anyone really expects this pole to go on over. And as I say that instantly, caster curse, checkpoint zone. Wow.
Wow, are you kidding me? You know that Complexity are thriving off of that, because I do believe they had that ring console right there as they're rocking the catalyst. So that's information that they had as they're trying to deny that from other teams that are trying to force their way into checkpoint 2. So, wow, all right. Coming off of that, now Most Hated on their rotate, seeing that they have the ring console too, so they have that next set of information after they got scanned by a survey beacon in the distance.
And we're wondering if there's a survey beacon available there on the north pad side for some of those teams. Otherwise, they'll just have to respawn as soon as that zone closes, and then we'll have a huge pile of teams on the northern edge at this point. LG, one of those squads here in north pad, they came very early on, of course, and they were eyeing up trying to take that God Rock. Over here on the western side, we've got Elevate. Believe the last time we saw Elevate was when they shook hands with Moist out on the edge, and they decided not to engage. But it's Falcons that will not give them that kind of same space. Zero has gone down, but Hal with the nades out. We do have the Rolling Thunder coming on in, but they might be safe in this corner.
Hound Zero taking turns on rezzing one or the other out here, while Jen Burden just continuously puts in the extra pressure that he needs to make sure that they're safe to reset. You see the catwalk coming in, which is huge, denying the vision from the squads looking at them from the right side, as TSM now making their appearance by the choke point north of checkpoint, and other teams like CCE taking to the skies to see if they can find a place to land. We talked about this team composition once we started Stormpoint, and this is what we were seeing here. I mean, that is absolutely going to be taken, but with the Valkyrie, you don't get that passive once these teams are inside of the building and covered.
Yeah, they did not even peek. There was no information whatsoever for them, and they got completely split up. Very unfortunate. So it's all up to Cobra here, as his two teammates have gone down. They're not even within range to try to get placement points. They'll go down in 17th. Unfortunate for, I think, today's crowd favorite, CCE, going down super early here in game number 6.
And that is why you don't see that many Valks in general. Aside from the fact that you don't see them that often in a lot of Valk-heavy squads here, as Complexity, beautiful follow-up off that Sentinel shield break there too. You saw that charge-up shot from a distance as Lou now closes in the gap. Finding Luxford here, as Monsoon's going to be able to also reset with a shield bat of their own, but getting out of a lot of the line of sight of the teams that are right behind them while they try to engage.
You have to be careful, because we know that Falcons were in the area as well, eyeing up E8, and I think that might be them. Lou is forced back inside of the trenches here and was able to get that bat off, staying alive. Yeah, it was Zero and Imperial Hal looking for that angle. Complexity, though, might just be a matter of time. They're about to call Jen Burden over. They smell it. They want to get these kills here, and I think they secured one knock at the very least. Yeah, that's Kimchi going down.
Absolutely walking away from that is from extra loot, because Zero needs it. Look at the amount of energy ammo that he's got. He may have to swap, but with the gold energy mag, we absolutely keep those coming. Needs to see them get scanned here, maybe seeing if he could get any extra ammo after pinging the ultimate accelerant, as Monsoon now diving into this fight, trying to get another knock. He finds Zach Mazer, elevate, get eliminated, and Falcon still out for blood in making a statement for this all-star team.
They're about to hit placement points as well. They've got 1 KP under their belts right now, ever expanding that lead that they've got over the rest of the lobby. And it's just a matter of time where it's just mathematically impossible for anyone to take over that first place position. Team Falcons are playing this one beautifully right now. They've got so much loot to work with. Ultimate excels left and right. And this is already an early, easy rotate for them. They should have, I believe, a rock to play off of there on the northeast side of this, or excuse me, northwest side of this zone. But they've even got all these ultimate excels, all the loot, all the extra ammo. There it is. You were talking about Zero basically being out of pittance. He had maybe 1, 2 extra mags there. Now he's got 400.
Oh my goodness, so definitely not starving out here. And trying to get a little sneak attack for NGNL as they make their rotate here. Lovely catwall with that squad being on their right. But now knowing that they've used up that catwall, who's going to try to protect them once they get through this next choke? As you can see where this circle's pulling, it looks like they are going to be calling in this evac tower, trying to find the angle for it before diving right into it. But look at the amount of squads that are going to have to start rotating away from checkpoint.
And we have about 4 teams inside of checkpoint proper, and NGNL they're on the as a 5th team all the way on the south, looking to cut them off and have that priority on that rotate. TSM aren't covering that choke point, so there is an opportunity possibly for NGNL to get all the way over there. But as we go back on over towards Oxygen, they have had to creep forward in terms of their position, now moving forward with the ring to their back. The smoke is enough to cover that cross, but here comes the rolling thunder. They're caught out in the middle of nowhere. We'll see how much connects, and it looks like they're safe for now.
I mean, you can even see with full blue evos from multiple teams what it means when these squads want to play for final circle. Tripods get deleted, literally put in the microwave, while Yup now trying to fight for their lives. Oblivion getting the crack, tries to get the follow-up. He needs at least 1 more KP. Can he get the finisher here while both of his teammates are down? The knockdown still, but he still gets it at the very end. It looked like Yup get eliminated and Oxygen are still alive, but only as a duo.
Now it's basically all up to Falcons here. So many of our top teams have gone down here in game number 6. SSG, Koi needs to go for the full reset. But there it is, Phony holding the angle for him, but they are taking so much damage inside right now. Phony will fall. Koi does get that bat off, but he is still stuck. You can see the utility being utilized to keep him cornered in right now as they try to angle him out. They close up that door. Now as they push out, Koi takes a lot of damage from behind. SSG are knocked out.
Oh my goodness, we've just circling around this building. Oxygen now taking control here. Well, LG look with hungry eyes to try to engage here. The scan coming in as Funk tries to get into position. I like this roundabout way that LG tries to take a high ground angle as they find the first knock onto Riley. It's a follow-up onto Oxygen. LG clean up shop, and there's a player outside the circle. I believe it's the solo from Edgers.
And I think almost all of our top 5 except for Falcons are out here, so it's just a matter of time. They've already secured 10th place. They have a few KP themselves. We've now getting eliminated. LG looking to finish the day off strong, but oh no! That's gonna be the res being denied and also a knock. And now I believe a third party is coming in. Possibly it was SKD now sliding down, and he'll have to leave his teammates behind. It's now the final 8.
Are you kidding me? The solo from Edgers coming out of the circle and griefing LG. Now running away as a rat with skid marks right behind them, telling LG they may have to change their pants here as they try to get out from their line of sight into some safety. TSM, by the way, still alive in that next circle alongside Team Falcons, while not Moist, one of the few teams that are going to be coming out of checkpoint. This is where going to be that bloodbath is, because NGNL are sharing this space with them, as well as Most Hated and Board.
This could be an amazing finish to the day. TSM versus Falcons, possibly in the late game, but TSM have so much pressure to work with. We have about 3-4 teams coming out, three teams rotating in from this choke point right now, so they have to worry about their back. They also have to worry about SKD just off to the northeast of them. For Moist, though, their troubles lie right underneath them. They don't want to drop down quite yet. They don't want to get stuck in that landing animation because it leaves you so vulnerable. Huge scan out there, really catching everyone remaining in this fight, but now it's just a matter of time. 40 seconds. Is that enough time for them to try and whittle down the forces here underneath them to create a safe landing zone?
They're distracted with healing up, then they'll be able to take advantage of that downtime to just rotate our way. But with Gil getting that knock on the Havoc and then gets the finishing blow with the Hemlock, that's going to be a dual playing right underneath them. Can't give up the space just yet. They know that Board is still on the other side here too, looking at them.
Their troubles aren't over quite yet. That's another 15 seconds. And this is the fast side of the zone. They will have to basically full sprint on out of this one. We'll see, though. They are taking their time up here. They might have an evac tower, and there it is in the hands of Walty, setting it up now double just to create that extra confusion. I mean, they're really not going to need it for the next zone anyhow, so might as well go ahead and use it. And here is the escape plan from Moist. They will avoid the fighting on the ground, but they take a little bit of chip damage. Do they have enough aerial coverage to make it on over? TSM are checking that angle, though, as they come on in. Moist make their way into the trenches, and they don't take too much damage for it.
And with 6 squads left here, Falcons are looking to capitalize. Let's jump into a listening with Falcons.
Shoot them, you can shoot them, you can shoot them now.
Yeah, wait, they're gonna move.
He's like here.
He's on top.
He's on top.
I'm looking at Foul.
They're fighting here. I can't see the down. They transfer the scans in? I don't have it. I have it. It's gonna have it now.
On top up. We're rolling towards me.
Dead.
Bang, crack.
What'd you say, Jim? Okay.
Bang, they're in open.
No. Shoot top.
Move in.
Nice. They have to move, no?
Looking.
Oh, they're in? They're in the corner. Get kills. Wait, what? One in the corner here. They res again. Here.
The wall out.
Dead. Hey, they res right here.
Do they? I can pick it.
Yeah, pick it. Wall dropped.
They're up.
I'm fighting.
The wall's gonna...
Don't get ramp left. Kill left.
Kill left. I can shoot
it. As well. I'm ugly now.
You hear the comms, top 3 shouts out here as TSM now looking to stay alive themselves. Reps gets taken down first, and Falcons are looking to capitalize.
It's all about the third party to finish things all off. They do have to wait out this Bang ultimate, but they've already seen the trades there. Hal picking up one onto SKD, and TSM are trying to recover there. You can see Falcons finding multiple angles on this team, but pushing the trenches can be hard. Never mind. Hal slides right on in, spots 2 outs, and now it's all about who comes in second. You can see playing for it now, but it's Falcons looking for the dub, and they will drop down and finish things off. That's going to be 2 wins on the day for Team Falcons. Answering all of our questions. How will this team perform? Will they flop? No, it's a resounding success for Team Falcons in day number 1.
proving a point, silencing any mess who is looking the other direction for this team, because once again, we keep highlighting this squad as the all-star squad, Jamerson, for all the right reasons, but at the very end, the Falcons versus TSM fight, we know that SKD were also right there involved in chunking away TSM, with Reps being the first one to go down, but it was Falcons holding steady on the high ground, waiting for the teams to go into their line of sight.
Yeah, it wasn't the, the showiest finish for them, especially here in game number 6. They were able to play slow side of zone, essentially, since zone number 2 here in map number 6. There was a few points of contention where they did have to dissuade a few teams from rotating into them. They were able to find a few teams actually try to go for that zone 3 rotate and punish them. We saw Moist also getting punished when they were moving out of checkpoint, and that's why in particular I don't like when teams have that kind of 50-50 split between North Pad and checkpoint. Taking that pit stop inside of checkpoint, I want most teams to just avoid that as much as possible, because we saw what happens if you end up getting locked up there.
It's all about what rotating points you have, depending on the choke points that are provided in that final circle too, right? Because there's only one choke to exit at a checkpoint with a circle like that. Not the back route where you could go through the spiders over to the other side, but when the circle is as small as it was right there, there's only one direction for a lot of these teams that are funneled up in checkpoint, the only way for them to go. So as we take a look at the match results and seeing the outcome from squads like Team Falcons, who waited deeper into that circle, more so by the edge. They knew their backs were cleared. They got involved in a lot of those fights early on, where they were also able to get knocks on Kimchi, so they were able to put pressure onto Complexity. We saw what happened with Elevate in the similar fashion. So many of these squads trying to fight for that same exact corner, but it was Falcons that came out on top with 9 KP to end the day. The nail in the coffin for a team that was first in the overall standings previous to this match.
But it's great to see for a lot of these teams that did have to rework their rosters, especially for TSM, right? Losing out on Hal and throwing up that question mark, who's going to be IGLing for us moving forward? It's been huge growing pains over the last 2 weeks for them. Picking up the third Zapto has proven useful, but it's still, who's going to be the big voice? Is it going to be Reps? Is it going to be Evan? And I don't know if they've completely worked that out, but still in this growing phase, they're still having some really good performances here. A second place finish with 2 kill points. You can't really ask much for more than that. That point, SKD also had a really nice game for themselves, but taking a look at the second page, it's just crazy how some of our favorite teams, I mean, we were really applauding Elevate's performance throughout the day, but going with a big 0 there to cap out game number 6 is not how you want to go down.
Yeah, or even the triple bagel from CCE with the Hail Mary vow to the skies before they couldn't find anything and they were just completely disorganized. Even Oxygen, who that was their POI advantage by the Trident here. As we bring back in Rain Day, break down all the action that went in for that last game of the day in North America, but it was a statement to be made, Rain Day.
Certainly a statement in general. Falcons, they flew high today. There's no doubt about it. And I'm sure we'll be saying that all split long. But this is a team that had a lot going positively for them. And there also was a lot of pressure. If they had failed, if they had not won, pretty much it could be looked at as a failure for a lot of people. They opened themselves up to that criticism. But at this point in time, the way that they responded to that opportunity and they took the bull by the horn, so to speak, and put the time in, did it in scrims, then did it here in the first match day. Well, that is very promising for them, very scary for the rest of the lobby, especially as we head towards international competition after this split is done. But still a lot more to go. In fact, a lot has just happened. We've got our last 3 games, match 4, 5, and 6 to recap as well before we head into the end and talk to some players, throw some MVPs out there. As game number 6 has concluded, it would be a tremendous finish to game number 4, though. We would see Tripods have their moment yet again. EWC qualified and taking that momentum into the ALGS, but it would be all up to NRG Fun. Recently signed, the org back in Apex, and trying to see if he could pull out a great 1v1 moment. And certainly it would feel like Onmu would have the advantage. We looked at this moment, Vicky, and we thought, well, what was there that Amu could have done. Maybe went away from the knockdown shields too early. Also did not heal. We see a shield cell that gets popped here, but no other healing, right? So the pressure is on. Amu says this is the time to push, but it's just a lack of patience maybe. And it's also execution from Fun. NRG take the win there in game number 4. Walk us through game 5, Vicky.
Well, looking at game number 5 after we saw the spaghetti on the floor for that previous game there, unfortunately, leaving those knockdown shields early, we got to see a nice little Kraber shot after the delay from Team Falcons dropping down from the high ground, but it was Vayne going crazy here. I believe at one point we even saw like he got through a little crevice where there was a catwall put up where he was still able to maybe get a scan going on here, but taking a nice off angle, trying to go for a flanking position, he was forced to back away just temporarily here, but he didn't have a shield bat. He only had shield cells, a plethora of them at that, but still was able to get that scan over by the side where they were able to see through that crevice alone. That opening is what allowed them to get some of that information, it looked like, before Frex swung in and the rest of Oxygen had put a pin to this book for game number 5.
Yeah, and Jamerson, like you said, Falcons, they had high expectations, but they certainly showed up today. There was no doubt about their performance in this lobby.
Yeah, they did an amazing job of just keeping that north side clear. I mean, we saw teams one by one kind of try and come in and go for a miracle rotate in. I think Complexity was one of the first squads that tried to evac tower out of checkpoints, and I think that was some very valuable loot that Team Falcons needed with how little action there was over there for them on the for the most part throughout the majority of this match. And so you can see that they were able to get themselves up to red evos, play off their space, and then come in. You do have, of course, SKD getting pushed as teams basically played for second at that point, knowing that it was Falcons just finishing things off. And oh my goodness, Rain Day, it's Falcons with an 83-point day after 6 games.
Top in kills, top in placement points. They were top of the leaderboard and top of the day. Falcons, well, they soar high, and the new team is certainly here to play and represent. You gotta say, many people expected it. Some people didn't want it to happen, but it is happening. So better get used to this new reality. Tripods, great day for them. 52 points. It'll edge out just a little bit of SSG, who played well also. 2 points separate them and Oxygen 2. And 42 will be the final point that has a 2 in it that will top out our top 5 with LG, CCE, SKD, Mark, Weave, and Not Moist rounding out our top 10. Vicky, overall, good stuff across the board today. I think we saw a lot of teams perform and make some statements here in our first day of the ALGS for North America.
I think you also get to see how much KP Falcons put down in comparison to the rest of this lobby, but it's been absolutely crazy to see here to not only make a statement for day number 1, but to showcase what other teams have in store for us with these POI changes and these roster changes.
Well, what's in store? That's the question everyone's been asking leading to this moment. And of course, at the end of each day, I have to choose a team and a player that stood out a little bit more than the rest, maybe access that potential to the highest of their ability. And today, it is no surprise who is getting thrown in there, at least team-wise. But who will it be on that team? Team Falcons, of course. I got to go with the man Zero. I mean, I think the question that I had to ask is, whose team is it? Because Hal obviously left TSM and gave that role of IGL up to Zero so that they could focus on being the best possible team in North America by combining their talents, taking them to South Beach or to the Falcons, whatever it is. They did it in order to do something bigger than just this moment, to make sure that they didn't all need to shine in the same role. They will give up a little bit to get more at the end. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Some of its parts greater than the whole. And I think that element of what Zero has done, taking on the IGL role, which is notoriously the hardest role in Apex Legends to own, especially with 2 players like Jin Burton and Imperial Howl to direct, it shows that he's willing to step up into that place. It used to be Howl and Zero. Who's got it? Well, now you don't even have to ask that question. I think this is undoubtedly, in my eyes, turning into Zero's team. And if he can hold on to performances like this, we're going to be talking a lot about his legacy as this split goes on. An incredible performance, an MVP-style debut in the ALGS with this new team. And in fact, I'm curious to hear what he thinks about it as well. We've got Zero standing by with us. Big man, Team Falcons, Zero, new look. A lot of similar results, my friend. Congratulations on a win in day 1.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty hard boosting a new player, but, you know, it was a solid day to start it off.
Yeah, this young guy, you know, Imperial Hal, you know, I'm glad that you just took a chance on him, right? I think the whole world is glad, and he seems to be proving his stuff so far. You know, jokes aside, I think that this is a team that has almost I was thinking about what could happen this week, and I thought if you guys don't get anything but first, it feels like that could be looked at as a disappointment. You know, with this offseason, all the change, all the talk, how have you personally looked at this team and this roster and what your personal expectations are? We know you want to win, but I just want to know in your brain how this has looked and what this means for your legacy, your next steps in Apex, and really just hear it, you know, from your mouth.
Yeah, so basically, Hal's super famous, so had to clout farm, and he admitted I'm the better IGL, joined me, so that was cool. Dropping Sykes, like, finally we don't have someone throwing 50% of games, it's been pretty nice, and yeah, like, anything except first, basically, just disappointment.
Well, I'm very glad that you're able to pick up a fan for your team, all right? But, you know, looking at the way that you guys have been playing so cohesive, do you feel like there's been any pressure behind your team, or do you feel confident enough to know where each of your individual skill are as a player? You know, knowing exactly what your roles are, you guys performed amazingly, literally above and beyond the rest of the lobby in comparison. Was there any sort of stress thinking about that pressure, especially when they always try to compare you and Hal before? Because I don't think we've really been able to talk to you too much to really gather your thoughts on that.
Well, I think like Hal basically perfectly fits like the Bloodhound role, and like the Bloodhound before, it was way easier to IGL on because it's like easier because you can see the most, you can control the team. But like it's not necessarily an IGL role. You just need like a Zainu type player who's just smart enough to like make calls on their own and like just feed info constantly. He's like basically the perfect fix for our team, and that was all like we were struggling in a split one. Like so I kind of felt like I had to play Bloodhound and Bang at the same time, but just made it a lot easier now.
Yeah, it's got to be nice, especially having a player that already has experience on the IGL role, and he already has an idea of what kind of information he wants, and so he knows what to feed you. But talking about the draft, as we went on over to Stormpoint, that was your second pick, and you guys were all the way down there in, what was it, 38th, 39th pick? How did you guys end up navigating having to pick basically that very far southern down zone and really convert it into an amazing performance in the second half on Stormpoint?
Coastal definitely quite a sad POI. Like draft in Pro League is arguably a lot worse than during LAN because you get rewarded for your performance during LAN and you get like 1st and 21st instead of like 1st and 40th. Yeah, with 39th, like Coastal like at least has an identity as a POI. Like you just have to play hard edge, you don't try to rotate. And like that last game was most of our points on Stormpoint. And yeah, somehow entire left to upper north pad was free off UAV. So pretty free game, but Coastal, very sad. POI draft, not the most fun. Skywest Mill, very happy.
All right, well, it's all about business, man. You seem to have got the results as well. We won't keep you much longer. Congratulations on the win, and good luck in your continued journey in Split 2.
All right, thank you.
Zero, everybody from Team Falcons. A little bit of a troll answer to start off, but also a little bit of business as well. You know, it's interesting because the way I've seen it, Vicky, you know, Hal is given up a lot of his identity to join this team, and Zero, from my eyes, hasn't really had to do that. He's still kind of, I mean, he's not Dark Zero, obviously, Team Falcons, but him and Jim Burton, he kind of kept his core, right? And so, you know, we've seen Hal, you know, shed some tears on stream a couple of times about this journey. I was anticipating that might not be the same journey that Zero has gone on, but it is interesting to see that no matter how they've gotten there, this team put together now feels like there's only one thing that's important, and it's winning. Vicky, your final thoughts on the day. Team Falcons obviously taking the win and the start of our NA Split 2.
I think you hit it right on the nail, honestly, Rain Day. You talk about legacies being paved. Hal is literally the player that paved a huge legacy for an org like TSM, and now having to give that up playing with Falcons, he is definitely slotted into a much more cohesive role with everybody else currently on Team Falcons. So playing into that and their strength, I don't see this team having any issue whatsoever. Now, when it comes to staying consistent in different groups and how they fare up against international talent from other regions, that's going to be a different story here. But I expect this team to keep shining through because this is the strongest squad that I've ever seen in the Pro League.
Such a strong squad. I mean, that's almost an understatement, and it's such a powerful statement. It's just these guys are the best of the best, and they were our two contenders to win LAN. Now they're together. Jamerson, it's a crazy thing to see it all unfold and to see him take first place today. After all that casting and back on the broadcast here after the first day, what are your thoughts and final takeaways?
It's great to see the kind of culmination of the last 2 weeks of preparation, especially for Falcons. I, of course, like everyone else, have been keeping an eye on them throughout the scrims, but it's great to see them, not to get too weeby here, but basically converting a 0 into a 1, right? I feel like for this team, it's a very blue lock kind of approach, right? You get all the egoists out there to really build out one of the best teams. And I think they have found the pieces. And it's great to see that they were able to live up to expectations, but also, dash aside a lot of the naysayers of ultimately with this team. So it's been an amazing day. EMEA definitely impressed me. North America has impressed me as well. We still have so many weeks remaining here. And so I want to see this draft system and teams evolve with it, especially because of how the draft ranking, right, overall works. If you started off with a first pick, you start getting more centralized, getting yourself into closer to like a 19th, 20th pick. And so teams are going to have to adjust with that meta as it goes along. So there's a lot of depth here in terms of professional play for Apex Legends, and I am definitely here for the journey.
Well, it's awesome to see and hear all of those perspectives, Jamerson. It's been amazing having you on, man. Super excited to have more of that this split. And of course, Vicky Kitty as well. Thank you both so much for all the contributions today. It has been an exciting one. So thank you guys again, and we'll be seeing you later on the split. All right, big stuff happening in EMEA match day number 2. That is coming up tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, right at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You will be able to see all of your favorite teams in EMEA going at it, including 07. ASCII, his debut, started off talking about how he's got the experience to get the job done, and he's also got the truth. He's got the ability for Zane to come in and, McLovin is one of those players like Zane who maybe hasn't had that moment. Well, let's see if they can both pop off tomorrow. EMEA starts off first, though. Aurora will be back at it. Had a bit of a surprisingly slow day today, but I'm sure they will be off to the races mañana to really go ahead and get back into winning ways, as we know they can. And guess what? Alliance. That's right. We haven't forgotten about you. They took a break. They watched the action. Heard there might be some alter stuff coming on. I don't know. Fun stuff for sure. Alliance is certainly a team that we will be paying attention to. Everyone, make sure to follow Play Apex Esports, whether it's on X or on YouTube, and keep in touch with everything we're doing. But again, you can find us here tomorrow at 10 a.m. on twitch.tv/playapex as well, casting all of this action in EMEA and in North America as well. It's another doubleheader. What you got to do in the meantime, maybe go ahead and play a little Apex yourself. Download the game and hop into some ranked or some casual matches and enjoy Season 21 in the meantime. But until then, my friends, have a fantastic evening. Thank you for all watching, all of our production, our staff, and partners. And as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we will see you all tomorrow.
We've